Chapter 16. The burning sensation became more and more intense. Lin Muyu clenched his teeth and didn't make a sound. In fact, he hadn't made a single sound since he started cultivating. How could he not be able to endure this bit of pain? Under the high temperature, even the outer layer of his clothes was slowly disintegrating and about to burn. Lin Muyu felt as if every cell in his body was about to evaporate. This kind of pain was absolutely unbearable for ordinary people. On the side, Tang Xiaoxi covered her mouth as she couldn't bear to watch. She had seen Chu Chu use the fire cauldron to deal with others before, but that person was a bandit and was killed by the fire cauldron. Would Lin Muyu also end up like that? Lin Muyu knelt on one knee and supported himself with his arms. He didn't fall under the heat of the fire cauldron, but his mind was almost completely blank. The high temperature had almost taken away his will and thoughts. At this moment, with a bang, a door opened in his mind and a tender voice came, it's burning me, it's burning me." When he opened his eyes, he saw a little elf flying around in his mind. It even flew out of his mind and danced behind Lin Muyu, shouting, "Big brother, what are you doing? Hurry and tell that old man to stop, he wants to burn you and me together." This elf was about 20 centimeters tall and wore green elven clothes. She also had long legs and a full chest. Her face was very delicate and looked very familiar. Lin Muyu looked again and his jaw almost dropped to the ground. Wasn't this the female elf official Lulu? How did the Lulu in the game come to this world? Lulu. Lin Muyu found that he could use his mind to communicate with this female elf official. Moreover, Chu Chu and Tang Xiaoxi ignored Lulu. They shouldn't be able to see her. Could it be that Lulu only existed in his mind? However, he was about to be burned to death. He hurriedly said, "Lulu, Chu wants to force out my martial spirit." "Where is my martial spirit?" "Just take something out to make up for it." Why am I here? Didn't I go offline in the game? Big brother, where are you? This place looks like the conquering continent." Lulu flapped her wings and endured the scorching heat. She frowned as if she was blaming him. "Big brother, you've either sold or deleted everything. What else can you take out?" "Woo, there seems to be something in your refining cauldron." "Woo, it's a trash gourd. It's the waste left behind from refining the 7-core jade. Is that okay?" "I'll take it." Lin Muyu was about to be burned to death. How could he care so much? In the next moment, a cool energy surged out of his body. Lin Muyu shouted loudly and forced this martial spirit out of his body. A small green gourd slowly rotated in front of his chest. It was suffused with a faint green light. It looked pretty, but this kind of martial spirit didn't seem very powerful. At this time, Lin Muyu finally understood what a martial spirit was in this world. It was actually equivalent to a martial artist's innate magical weapon. It was used to attack and defend. "Oh, it appeared." Tang Xiaoxi smiled. Chu Chu nodded his head in satisfaction and said, "So it's a green gourd martial spirit. No wonder this brat has good attainments in alchemy." The fire cauldron dispersed. The grass around Lin Muyu had already been burned. The female elf official, Lulu, had once again fallen into a deep sleep. No one knew when she would wake up again. He extended his hand to hold his martial spirit. The green gourd slowly rotated in his palm. There was a spiritual contract between them. It was as if he could sense any trace of the martial spirit's aura. Chu Chu said, "Although it's a 10th grade martial spirit, it should be of some use if it's cultivated properly. At least it's enough to deal with Huawan." "Is a 10th grade martial spirit powerful?" Lin Muyu asked carefully. Tang Xiaoxi covered her mouth and snickered. Chu Chu also laughed. "Martial spirits are divided into 10 grades. My fire cauldron is ranked 4th, Princess Shi's fire fox is ranked 2nd, and your green gourd is ranked 10th. What do you think? In other words, this green gourd is the weakest?" Lin Muyu said. "Yes." "Ah!" Lin Muyu screamed in her heart. This gourd was a waste from her refining. If she hadn't sold the 7-star lamp, profound spirit staff, 9 heavens demon lotus and other sacred weapons, any one of them would probably be considered a first or second grade martial spirit in this world. She regretted it so much that her intestines were about to turn green. Tang Xiaoxi was a kind girl. She probably felt that Lin Muyu was very sad at this moment. She comforted her, "Mu, don't be sad. A 10th grade martial spirit has a chance to evolve into a 9th grade, or even an 8th or 7th grade martial spirit. Don't be depressed, there will be a chance." Then is there a chance to evolve into a 1st grade martial spirit? Tang Xiaoxi couldn't help but laugh. "You're dreaming." It seemed like she was not good at comforting people. Lin Muyu did not mind as he had thought of another way. He was a master in the art of craftsmanship. As long as he had enough materials, he would be able to refine this green gourd into a top-notch magical weapon. It would definitely not be weaker than a grade 1 martial spirit. He was confident that he could do it. Chu Chu said, "A cultivator's life is actually spent on cultivating his martial spirit. The stronger the martial spirit, the stronger the power of his attack and defense. This is because the martial spirit will provide the source of power for any of your combat skills. Do you understand?" I understand. Thank you, Chu." The haze in Lin Muyu's heart was swept away. Chu Chu nodded his head in satisfaction and said with a smile, "The green gourd is a plant-type martial spirit. It specializes in healing, binding, and defense. This is also your main direction of development. In the future, you may be a support-type warrior. Don't rush to the front in battle. Just understand this. Okay. Let's continue. Your power is still in the chaotic period. Find a spirit beast that is over 200 years old and kill it before noon. Use your green gourd to absorb the beast's spirit and see how much it can improve your personal power." "Yes." Lin Muyu smiled and nodded, "Thank you, Chu." Chu Chu stroked his beard and smiled, "Don't thank me. It's not that easy. Any cultivator needs to go through hardships. Once you meet a suitable spirit beast, I will not take action. You need to kill it yourself. Otherwise, you are not worthy of absorbing the beast's spirit. Do you understand?" Lin Muyu's heart moved. She couldn't help but sigh. This old fellow did not seem to care about his own life and death. He was too inhumane. It was said that a 200-year-old spirit beast's strength was equivalent to a level 20 battle spirit. Whether or not one could kill it depended on one's luck. At this moment, it started to drizzle. After the 3 of them went down the mountain, they found their horses and galloped towards the depths of the forest. Lin Muyu was dressed in green and looked extremely handsome. Tang Xiaoxi was wearing a fiery red dress and an exquisite cloak. When the drizzle landed on her face, it was like spring rain falling on pear blossoms. There was an inexplicable sense of beauty. Lin Muyu couldn't help but praise Princess Shi in her heart. Princess Shi's cultivation at such a young age was indeed impressive. If it was any other noble family's daughter, she would have asked to find a place to hide from the rain instead of continuing to travel in the rain. Not long after, dark clouds covered the sky. The 7 Stars forest was as dark as night. Flashes of lightning flashed across the sky like sharp knives stabbing into the ancient forest. Lin Muyu comforted his mount so that it wouldn't be frightened by the lightning. Chu Chu also slowed down his galloping speed. He had to take good care of Tang Xiaoxi. After all, Princess Shi's cultivation was his top priority during this trip. Looking at the long sword and longbow on Lin Muyu's back, Chu Chu couldn't help but laugh. "Brat, why are you carrying a bow? This is my hidden weapon." "Hidden weapon?" Chu Chu couldn't help but laugh. "What's the use of this hidden weapon?" Lin Muyu said seriously, "Although my cultivation in martial arts is far from yours, I know that an inch longer is an inch stronger. If the enemy is tens of meters away from me, I will use my bow and arrows. If he gets close to me, I will use my sword. If I don't have a longbow, the time he gets close to me will be wasted. If I can kill the target from a few meters away, there's no need for him to get close to me, right?" Chu Chu was stunned for a moment. He couldn't help but nod his head in approval. What you said is reasonable, but this longbow is too conspicuous and too ostentatious. It can't be considered a real hidden weapon. If you really want a hidden weapon, I have a gift for you. Oh, a gift? Lin Muyu couldn't help but be happy. Chu Chu took out a cloth bag from the backpack on the horse's butt and tossed it over. Lin Muyu caught it and opened it to see that it was 4 very exquisite flying daggers. The curves of the daggers were very bright, and they were as clear as the moon. Even in the dark environment, one could see that the edges of the daggers were like snow. These are the weapons left behind by Feng Yicheng. Feng Yicheng is an expert in using flying knives. He can take a person's life from 100 meters away. These 4 flying knives can be shot one by one, or they can be combined to form a rotating blade. But it takes a lot of effort to master this hidden weapon. Chu Chu said. Thank you Chu. Lin Muyu smiled. Tang Xiaoxi, who was at the side, blinked her big watery eyes and smiled. Feng Yicheng? Could it be the famous general who guarded the southern border for nearly 20 years, Feng Yicheng? Yes, that's him. Unfortunately, General Feng died in the hands of the bandits. Chu Chu said with some regret. What's rare is that Feng Yicheng wasn't born of noble blood. He was a genius and one of the 12 commanders of the empire. What a pity. Tang Xiaoxi said, Feng Yicheng died in battle more than 10 years ago. It's rare that Chu still has his belongings here. Chu Chu said, he was an old friend of mine. These flying knives were given to me by someone before he died in battle. Lin Muyu's mind trembled. He suddenly felt the weight of these 4 flying knives increase. He gratefully raised his head and looked at Chu Chu. Thank you, Chu Chu, this time the gratitude came from the heart. However, Chu Chu smiled. It's a good thing I'm not good at using hidden weapons. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had a chance to obtain such a divine weapon. That's right. These flying knives were extremely exquisite. Every one of them had a hollowed-out air passage and a rotating design. This meant that every flying knife would return after being thrown out. If one wanted to use such a hidden weapon well, one must practice the skill of catching and retrieving it. This was also a big challenge. If one couldn't catch it or let it go, one's hand would be gone. After all, these flying knives were too sharp. He put the flying knives into his bag and slowly practiced later. Chapter 17. In the rain, the spiritual beasts all hid in their nests, as if they couldn't find a good target to attack. Thus, the 3 of them advanced slowly in the rain. Chu Chu didn't have an umbrella or a cloak in the rain, but the rainwater flowed down his body, not drenching his clothes at all. This was a little shocking. Lin Muyu also had a basic understanding of the holy domain, and he was very shocked. Chu Chu only smiled at the shocked lad and said, every heaven realm expert can turn their true qi into battle energy. That's an even stronger power. With the protection of battle energy, you will naturally be impervious to fire and water. Lin Muyu nodded, not really understanding. Tang Xiaoxi took off her cloak and revealed a beautiful face. She smiled and said, Chu Chu, what kind of beast spirit do you think I need to refine to help my fire fox martial soul grow? Chu Chu said, the fire fox is of the fire attribute, so it's naturally better to absorb the spirit of a fire attribute beast. However, the rain is slippery, and the fire attribute spiritual beasts are all hiding in their dry nests. I don't think you'll be able to find one even if you want to. Moreover, Princess Shi is about to enter the earth realm, so you'll need to absorb at least 2,000 beast spirit, which will be even harder to find. However, Lin Muyu's green gourd might be able to find a good enough spiritual beast. Is it because the green gourd is of the plant attribute, and the rain is the best time for plants to grow? That's right. Chu Chu looked at the dense forest in front of him and said, get off the horse and walk. We'll enter the forest and see if we can find 1 or 2 suitable plant attribute spiritual beasts. Okay. The 3 of them dismounted from their horses and held onto the reins as they walked through the dense forest. At this moment, the rain seemed to be getting heavier and heavier, and the pitter-patter of the raindrops could be heard. Lin Muyu furrowed his brows. He did not have Chu Chu's level of cultivation, nor did he have Tang Xiaoxi's waterproof cloak. His entire body was already drenched, but it did not matter, he could endure this little bit of hardship. Be careful. Chu Chu suddenly stretched out his hand to stop the two youngsters. He pointed to a black plant in front of them and said, let's go around it. There's a plant that's currently eating. Meat plate? Lin Muyu was stunned. What's that? Tang Xiaoxi stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, Mu, the carnivorous plate is a plant-type spiritual beast. In fact, it's also a kind of wild beast. It specializes in eating rotten corpses. It's not very aggressive, but it's highly poisonous. Let's avoid it. Chu, how old is this plate? Chu Chu said, there are a total of 7 black circles on the top of its head. It should be a 70-year-old meat dish. Forget it, the spirit of this plant-type spirit beast isn't pure, it's not worth using. Lin Muyu stared at it fixedly. Could this millstone-sized plant really eat meat? The next moment, it seemed to feel that someone was staring at it. The slightly trembling millstone-sized plant slowly raised its face. It was a face full of barbs and mucus. It was hideous and terrifying. Below the face, there was a mouth that was chewing on the carcass of a young wild boar on the ground. For a moment, the stench filled the air. Ugh, so disgusting. Tang Xiaoxi covered her nose and quickly led her horse away. Chu Chu said, Brat, stop looking. Let's go. Okay. Lin Muyu hurriedly chased after it, but she was still in a state of shock. The 7-star forest was indeed an inhumane place. There were even these kinds of monsters. This carnivorous plate was something that she had never seen before in the game. It seemed that not everything in this world matched up with the game's timeline. After walking for a long distance, the 3 of them couldn't find the path anymore. They could only cut their way through the thorns. Lin Muyu also pulled out the sharp steel sword from her back and walked in front of Tang Xiaoxi to cut the thorns. As they walked, suddenly, a green vine appeared on the ground. It was so green that even the steel sword couldn't cut it. Lin Muyu couldn't help but be shocked. What kind of vine is this? Why is it so tough? Chu Chu only glanced at it and said in a low voice, Stop cutting, or you'll die. What's wrong? Lin Muyu hurriedly stopped. Chu Chu's eyes lit up as he looked around. He smiled and said, It seems that we've met the legendary green vine monster. Hee, we're really lucky. Green vine monster? Tang Xiaoxi smiled excitedly and said, I've seen the description of this kind of spirit beast in the 100 Beasts chart, but I've never seen it in person. Where is it? Princess Shi, you have to be careful. This green vine monster has at least 500 years of cultivation. Ah. Tang Xiaoxi opened her small mouth, then it should be very strong? Yes. Chu Chu pointed forward and said, Boy, your spirit beast has appeared. Do you see the red crown of the grass in front of you? That's the head of the green vine monster. Go, kill this green vine monster, but you must be careful of its vines. If you get entangled, I'm afraid even a god wouldn't be able to save you. Remember, I won't save you. If you can't kill this green vine monster, then you'll become its delicious meal. This green vine monster eats plants and also humans. Chu Chu's words were firm and unquestionable. Of course, Lin Muyu also knew the pros and cons. She took a deep breath, but she wasn't in a hurry to make a move. Instead, she dipped all the arrows in her quiver in a paralyzing potion and drank a bottle of stoneskin potion. If her defense was strong enough, she shouldn't be killed so easily. Tang Xiaoxi stood at the side and summoned her martial soul. The fire fox appeared on her shoulder and seemed eager to fight. She smiled and said in a low voice, Mu, be careful when you fight. But don't worry, if you really can't defeat this green vine monster, I'll secretly help you even if Chu doesn't help you. Lin Muyu smiled gratefully, Thank you, Princess Shi. After saying that, he stepped forward, drew his bow, aimed at the head of the green vine monster, and shot an arrow. After all, the green vine monster was a plant, so it was always in a deep sleep. The arrow hit its head with a pu sound and splashed a bit of emerald green juice, but it was definitely not fatal. No plant would die from one arrow. Rustle, rustle, rustling sounds came from the ground, and the soil was flipped up. Vines emerged from all directions and gathered around the green vine monster. The head of the tree suddenly rose, and suddenly, a huge green vine monster rose from the ground. It was actually 3 meters tall, and it was really a huge monster. Thousands of green vines twisted like poisonous snakes, and one of them suddenly reached towards Lin Muyu with a biting cold killing intent. This 500-year spirit beast's killing intent could be seen the moment it attacked. Swoosh! The green vine tentacle swept past like lightning, and it was about to pierce through Lin Muyu's chest. This was the green vine monster's specialty, and countless cultivators had died under this move since ancient times. However, Lin Muyu was not one of those people. He saw it clearly, and with a slide, he dodged like a shadow. Even Chu Chu was shocked. What a beautiful movement technique. That was the butterfly steps of the fallen star steps. The fallen star steps had a total of 3 movement techniques: butterfly steps, star steps, and glory steps. The butterfly steps focused on moving in a curve, and it was a necessary movement technique in battle. The star steps allowed one to move as if they were flying, and their speed would increase exponentially. The glory steps was more profound, and it was a movement technique similar to flashing. It could instantly increase one's speed to the extreme, but it would not last long. After dodging with the butterfly steps, Lin Muyu raised his right hand and pulled out his steel sword. He slashed at the green vine in front of his chest. Pung! He still couldn't cut it, but the juice had already splashed out. So tough. He was shocked. Chu Chu watched from afar, and he said in a deep voice, "Young man, learn how to integrate the power of your martial spirit. Your green gourd can provide you with a very good source of power. Concentrate the power of your martial spirit into your arms and the blade, and you will be able to cut off the vine arm of a 500 years old spiritual beast." Swoosh swoosh swoosh, Lin Muyu's situation was not looking good. The green vine monster had already used more than 10 green vine arms to attack and entangle him. If it weren't for the fallen star steps, he would have been killed by the vine arms. While dodging the attacks of the vine arms, he silently circulated his Jin Qi and awakened his martial spirit. Suddenly, the green glow of the green gourd slowly appeared on his arms. The power went through his arms and into his weapon. He turned around and chopped down. Crack! A crisp sound was heard. One of the vine arms of the green vine spirit had been chopped off. Green juice splashed everywhere. Beautiful. Tang Xiaoxi smiled and cheered. But at the same time, Lin Muyu's back shook. His back was hit by one of the vine arms of the green vine monster. He quickly bent down, but his chest was hit again, and he rolled on the ground. He felt a burning pain, and blood seeped out of his clothes. He was injured. Ah! Tang Xiaoxi was shocked. She felt the heat in her palm, and the fire fox martial spirit appeared. She roared, and the fire soared into the sky. She was going to attack. Chu Chu quickly shouted, "Princess Shi, don't. He can only rely on himself to pass this, or else he won't be able to surpass his own strength, and he will never know where his limit is. If you really care about him, you must believe in him." But Tang Xiaoxi was speechless for a while, and she could only continue to watch Lin Muyu being chased by the green vine monster. She used the falling star steps to escape, and at the same time, she turned around and pulled out her bow to shoot. The power of her martial spirit was concentrated in her arms, and each arrow almost penetrated the trunk of the green vine monster, but it didn't seem to be fatal. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The surroundings shook violently, and suddenly, the ground was lifted up. Thousands of vines rose from the ground, and directly tied Lin Muyu up. She actually fell into the green vine monster's trap. Stupid Mu. Tang Xiaoxi looked into the distance in shock. Chu Chu closed his eyes and sensed Lin Muyu's aura fluctuation from afar. The corners of his mouth curled up as he said with a smile, "Don't worry, Princess She. This kid's life is very tough. He won't die so easily." Sure enough, after a loud shout, the steel sword pierced through the green vines, and cut down dozens of vines. Lin Muyu stepped out. Although he was in a sorry state, he wasn't dead yet. Chu Chu said loudly, "The green vine monster's weakness is its head. As long as you can cut off its head, you can kill it." "Damn old man, why didn't you say so earlier?" Lin Muyu endured the pain in her body and activated the falling star steps. She leaped into the air and stepped on the green vine spirit's vine arm as she dashed forward. Her speed was so fast that she was like a bolt of lightning. Chu Chu was secretly shocked. This guy is really a freak. Where did he get such a fast speed? Logically speaking, with his cultivation level, even if he drank a first-grade speed potion, he shouldn't be able to move so fast. Chapter 18. Ka. After the steel sword was infused with the power of the martial spirit, it seemed to become a divine weapon. After a flash of light, the green vine demon immediately let out a violent howl, and slowly collapsed. Lin Muyu stood on its head, and very quickly, the green spirit of the wild beast formed a circle above the green vine demon's head. "Now," Chu Chu whispered, "sit down and use your green gourd to absorb the vine monster's beast spirit. Not only will it increase the power of your martial spirit, it will also increase your own strength. Your body has just entered the chaotic stage, so there is no clear standard for your strength. But after the first evolution of your martial spirit, your strength will be determined." Lin Muyu was overjoyed. She immediately sat next to the vine monster's corpse and summoned her green gourd. The moment her martial spirit touched the vine monster's beast spirit, she didn't even need to guide it. The green gourd began to crazily devour the vine monster's beast spirit. Since they were both plants, the green gourd seemed to be more compatible with the vine monster. The green gourd's light became brighter and brighter. At the same time, Lin Muyu felt that the strength of her Jin Qi was increasing. The vine monster had brought great benefits to her. At the side, Chu Chu smiled and said, "If this kid is lucky enough, he might be able to comprehend the beast spirit's main body's special skill." Tang Xiaoxi blinked her eyes and said, "But Grandpa told me that the probability of learning the special skill of the beast spirit is less than 20%. My fire fox has evolved twice, but it only learned the fire wolf's flame." Chu Chu said, "This is all up to fate. My fire cauldron has a total of 9 layers and evolved 9 times, but it only has 3 skills. It all depends on this kid's luck." Lin Muyu was refining the beast spirit, but she could still hear their conversation. At this moment, a voice suddenly appeared in her mind. It was the elven female official, Lulu. She had woken up again. This was the perfect time. She appeared in front of Lin Muyu and stretched her body. She smiled and said, "I slept so much, Lulu." Lin Muyu was overjoyed. "I'm refining the beast's soul. Help me open the cauldron. Hurry." "Yes." When Lulu opened the cauldron, a bright light enveloped Lin Muyu. Chu Chu and Tang Xiaoxi could no longer see what Lin Muyu was doing. They only knew that he was absorbing the spirit of the wild beasts. However, in front of Lin Muyu, there was a cauldron floating in the air. The green gourd was spinning rapidly in the cauldron. As an elf officer, Lulu seemed to be able to see through everything. She smiled and said, "The skill contained in this spirit of the beast is entanglement of roots. It can provide the effect of gourd vine entanglement, but it needs some materials to make a weapon." "What materials do you need?" 1 liter of water, 2 gold coins, and some soil to nourish the gourd vines. "That's easy." Lin Muyu couldn't help but chuckle. There was water in the puddle nearby. Gold coins and soil were everywhere. He took some water and dug some soil to fill the cauldron. Then, he took out 2 gold coins and threw them into the cauldron. Immediately, Lulu closed her eyes and a satisfied smile appeared on her pretty face. As the items were mixed together, the cauldron shone even brighter. In an instant, all the gold coins were refined and turned into golden powder that seeped into the green gourd martial spirit. The water and soil were naturally absorbed by the green gourd martial spirit. This process lasted for about 10 minutes. It was a success. Buzz. The green gourd martial spirit trembled violently. Green vines extended from the top of the gourd. It was a very rural scene. Chu Chu and Tang Xiaoxi were stunned. This idiot Mu really awakened his martial spirit's skill. Tang Xiaoxi murmured to herself. Chu Chu laughed, this kid, fortune favors fools. Lin Muyu thought to himself, I'm not a fool, I'm a grandmaster blacksmith. Lin Muyu was able to refine the wild beast spirit of a 500-year-old green vine demon in less than 10 minutes. This was too shocking. However, Lin Muyu stood up in high spirits. Her aura seemed to have undergone a huge change. Chu Chu smiled and said, Kid, why don't you show me your martial soul's skill? Yes, Chu, with a thought, the green gourd martial spirit appeared in front of her chest. Shwa shwa shwa, vines wrapped around a small tree, immobilizing it. When Lin Muyu exerted his strength, the small tree was snapped in half. Wow, this is fun. Tang Xiaoxi laughed, Mu's martial spirit skill is so interesting. Princess, you're flattering me. Lin Muyu was a little embarrassed. Tang Xiaoxi immediately broke his pretense, I'm not flattering you, I just think it's very interesting. This kind of childish skill is useless in a real battle. Lin Muyu was speechless. It's better than nothing. Chu Chu comforted her. Lin Muyu nodded in relief. Alright, let's use the testing crystal to see your current strength. The testing crystal was in the bag on the back of the horse. After taking it out, Lin Muyu covered it with her palm, shouted in a low voice, and exerted all her strength. Suddenly, her martial spirit shone brightly, and the strength reading in the testing crystal increased rapidly, jumping continuously. Finally, there was a long line and 7 short lines. Chu Chu smiled slightly, level 17 warrior, not bad. Anyway, you've stepped into the second layer of the human realm. If you practice for a few days, there's still hope for you to defeat Huawan. Well, thank you, Chu. At night, the heavy rain finally stopped, and the entire 7-star forest was muddy. It was impossible for people to live in this kind of deep mountain, and hunters didn't dare to live in the depths of the 7-star forest. After all, no one wanted to wake up in the middle of the night and be bitten off by a 1,000-year-old spirit beast. Therefore, Chu Chu, Lin Muyu, and Tang Xiaoxi could only camp in the mountain for a night. After finding some dry wood, they rested in a small kernel. Tang Xiaoxi ignited the wood with her fire fox martial spirit, baked buns, and had dinner. Then, under the light of the fire, Tang Xiaoxi sat cross-legged and practiced. Her whole body was emitting a faint flame aura. This girl practiced the law of fire, and her figure was indeed very hot. After practicing for a while, Lin Muyu's genuine qi could already pass through her meridians without any obstruction. The legend of the heaven's disabled body had been broken, but the strength of her genuine qi couldn't be increased rapidly. She had to give up. She stood up and took out the flying daggers given by Chu Chu from the bag. It was time to practice this flying dagger technique. The longbow was not a hidden weapon, and it was not convenient to carry around, let alone attack when the enemy was unprepared. For fear of hurting Tang Xiaoxi, he went to the hillside and observed the 4 flying daggers in the moonlight. They were unique and exquisite, shining brightly under the moonlight. Throw. Shwa. The cold light flew far away, emitting a shrill sound in the wind. In the blink of an eye, it returned, but Lin Muyu didn't catch it, he didn't want to die yet. Pa. The flying dagger pierced into the tree trunk at the side. He pulled it out and threw it again. Then, he dodged it again, and observed it over and over again. Just like that, he threw for more than an hour. In the darkness, a figure observed him for a long time, and finally couldn't help but ask, "Why don't you try catching it?" Lin Muyu turned around and smiled, "Oh, it's Chu Chu. It's not that I don't want to catch it, but I need more experience in observation, to understand the trajectory of the flying dagger under different strength and angles. Otherwise, I'm afraid both of my hands would be ruined. Chu Chu couldn't help but laugh. What a smart boy. I really didn't misjudge you. In your hands, this flying knife will definitely be able to display its full potential. However, you've been observing for too long. Try to catch it. As a martial artist, it's almost impossible to cultivate a secret art without suffering some injuries. However, this was too much of a test of eyesight, especially under the moonlight. But Lin Muyu still started to try without hesitation. He suddenly threw the flying dagger, and quickly judged the angle of its rotation, as well as the rotation trajectory of the handle and the blade. He wanted to catch the handle, not the blade. Pa! He suddenly made his move, but his fingers didn't completely touch the handle. Instead, they were swept by the blade before he could grab the handle. Suddenly, he felt a burning pain, and blood flowed out. His index finger was cut open. Fortunately, you are an alchemist. You have all kinds of medicine for wounds. Chu Chu laughed, taking pleasure in Xiao Chen's misfortune. Lin Muyu didn't have the mood to bother with this inhumane teacher. He took out some medicine and applied it on his finger. Then, he tried a dozen more times. When he didn't catch it the second time, he quickly dodged it. He could catch the rest, and he had already mastered the technique of catching knives. The next step was to judge the trajectory of the flying dagger after it hit the target, which was even more difficult. When it was late at night, Lin Muyu's left and right hands were already full of wounds. Luckily, he had a sense of propriety and didn't injure his muscles or bones. Otherwise, it would definitely affect his cultivation. Even so, he had almost used up all the medicine. Luckily, he was an alchemist and could concoct medicine on the spot. He looked around and found some silver thread grass and long night flower. They were common herbs, so he picked some. Then, he found an iron pear flower. Hua! He opened his hand and the essence condensing hand appeared. He started to extract the energy from the iron pear flower. Chu Chu leaned against the stone wall, pretending to take a nap. However, he was secretly watching Lin Muyu as she refined the medicine. Just as Lin Muyu was adding the iron pear flower's medicinal essence powder into the gold sore medicine, Chu Chu finally could not hold it in any longer. He leaped forward and raised his eyebrows as he asked, "Brat, according to the medicinal encyclopedia, the gold sore medicine only requires silver thread grass and long night flower. Why did you add the iron pear flower?" Lin Muyu smiled and said confidently, "Although the iron pear flower's energy powder can't cure injuries, it can speed up the healing process. Furthermore, the silver thread grass and long night flower are both warm, while the iron pear flower is cold. After neutralizing the cold, the medicinal effect will be even better." Chu Chu's eyes widened. You're not lying to me, right? Why would I lie to you? The medicine I concoct is definitely a first-grade medicine, do you believe me? Chu Chu sniffed the bottle of medicine he had just concocted. His face turned ashen. "It really is a first-grade medicine." Lin Muyu continued to concoct the medicine. She took out some swift wolf's blood and softened the energy of the blue-silver grass. Finally, she took out an apple from her bag, crushed it, and soaked it in apple juice. Chu Chu was dumbfounded again. "Why did you add apple juice?" Lin Muyu smiled. "The swift wolf's blood is very violent and aggressive. Adding a little apple juice can soften its aggressive nature, making the medicine more effective. Also what?" The Saint Realm expert's eyes widened like copper bells. Lin Muyu smiled. "Also, the medicine made with apple juice is very tasty." "Very, very tasty." Chu Chu's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. His knowledge in the alchemy world was instantly subverted by this young man in front of him. Chu Chu was an expert in martial arts all his life, but he was a rookie in alchemy. So much so that after meeting a grandmaster alchemist like Lin Muyu, he didn't feel like he had ever learned alchemy. Chapter 19. Chu Chu squatted on the ground and watched Lin Muyu refine medicine like a studious child. When he saw how Lin Muyu skillfully peeled off the iron and stone layers of the iron pear flower with the essence condensing hands, he almost gasped in amazement. He had seen many experts in his life, but he had never seen an alchemist who could refine medicine with such an exquisite technique. Even the alchemy king-level alchemists he had seen before didn't have such a miraculous technique. Looking at the restless Chu Chu, Lin Muyu couldn't help but snicker inwardly. Chu Chu was an expert who had stepped into the Saint realm, and his status on the continent was obvious. But everyone had a weakness, and Chu Chu's weakness was his love for alchemy. So Lin Muyu smiled and said, "This technique is called the essence condensing hands. What do you think? Do you want to learn it?" Chu Chu immediately nodded repeatedly, "Yes. All right, I'll teach you." Lin Muyu clapped her hands happily and said, "But there's a condition." Chu Chu immediately raised an eyebrow. "Kid, what do you want? Just say it. As long as you're willing to teach me alchemy, I'll do anything." Lin Muyu had already made up her mind and said slowly, "I'll teach you the essence condensing hands, but you must teach me your best battle technique." "What do you think? Teach you battle techniques?" "Yes." Lin Muyu scratched her head. "Chu, Kathaya City's bookstores also sell battle techniques, but they're too expensive. It's also very expensive to learn from a master, and I don't have that much money. If I cultivate with you, you'll only teach me how to summon my martial spirit, but not any real battle techniques. As you can see, the green gourd is suited for defense, but not offense, so I want to learn offensive techniques." Chu Chu sighed and looked deeply at Lin Muyu, "But I swore a long time ago that I would never accept a disciple in this life. Otherwise, I will die by the sword." Lin Muyu smiled, "I don't want to be your disciple, I just want to learn combat skills. Besides, this is a deal. I'll teach you alchemy, and you'll teach me combat skills. How about it?" "Then, all right." Chu Chu really couldn't resist the temptation of the condensed essence hand, and said, "But you have to promise me one thing, you can't teach the battle skills that I taught you to anyone else. I, Chu Chu, have comprehended more than half of the martial arts in my life by myself. The world is chaotic, I don't want the battle skills that I created to become killing skills. How about it, can you promise me that?" Lin Muyu immediately nodded, "I promise that I will never teach anyone else the combat skills you taught me." "All right then." As he spoke, Chu Chu leapt a few meters back and smiled. "I will demonstrate 3 combat techniques. Take a look and choose one to learn." "All right." Chu Chu's eyes were calm and steady. His entire body stood on the ground with the posture of empty Tai, as if he could shake the heavens but not the earth. He opened his left palm slightly and with a low roar, a bolt of purple lightning suddenly condensed between his fingers. With a pang sound, a giant rock on his right was directly broken in half. This is the lightning strike. It condenses the lightning element of nature and instantly attacks the target separately. It can be used barehanded or in conjunction with a weapon. Again. Chu Chu was calm and composed. With a slight shake of his sleeves, he let out a low roar. Immediately, the ground around him began to tremble. Fighting chi was released and layers of green rock shields appeared around him. In the blink of an eye, the shields were shattered. This is the green rock armor. It condenses fighting chi into a wall to protect oneself. It is also a combat technique that I created. It is suitable for defense. You can also condense the green rock armor with fighting chi. However, the green rock armor, created with fighting chi, is even more indestructible. Again. As he spoke, Chu Chu let out a low roar and clenched his hand into a fist. He threw a punch at the giant tree in front of him. The air instantly fluctuated and after a sharp whistling sound, the tree received a heavy blow. Pang! The branches of the tree shook violently, but Lin Muyu did not see any damage to the tree. She smiled and said, "It doesn't look like much. Is that so?" Chu Chu smiled slightly, "Take a closer look." When Lin Muyu looked again, she found that the bark of the giant tree was cracked. Even the trunk was as brittle as cotton and fell with a loud bang. This woke Tang Xiaoxi from her sleep. She rubbed her beautiful eyes and sat up. What happened? Chu Chu smiled from afar and said, Princess, it's nothing. It's still early, you can sleep a bit more. Tang Xiaoxi was sleeping soundly, so she didn't think too much about it. She laid on her side and fell asleep again. This move is called Demon Sound Fist. It uses the pulsation of battle chi to create a strong fluctuation effect in the air, forming a sound wave to attack the opponent. If your cultivation is high enough, you can even injure the opponent's internal organs. Chu Chu smiled proudly. It's also a martial art that I created. How about it? Lightning Strike, Demon Sound Fist, Green Rock Armor, which one do you choose to learn? Demon Sound Fist. Lin Muyu did not hesitate. This move was too flashy. Chu Chu smiled and said, You really know your stuff. It's a pity that the Demon Sound Fist requires a lot of chi to use. As for you, you should be able to make some progress in it in about 7 or 8 years. Lin Muyu was slightly surprised. Then I'd better learn Lightning Strike. If I use it with my sword, the power should not be small, right? That's right. I also approve of you learning Lightning Strike. Thus, Chu Chu sat cross-legged on a huge rock and began to dictate the principles of Lightning Strike. First, she must learn to meditate and feel the lightning element in the air. If she couldn't even feel the lightning element, then she would not be able to learn this move. Lin Muyu was naturally smart. After meditating for a little more than an hour, she could already feel the violent lightning element in the air. These elements were like living creatures. When Lin Muyu tried to touch them, they would move far away. Chu Chu faintly smiled and continued to teach. One of the great mysteries of condensing the lightning element was the word, absorb. You must use your own chi to attract the lightning element. During this process, Lin Muyu practiced for almost 2 hours. Finally, he learned how to release his chi to absorb the lightning element. When the lightning element between his 5 fingers was dense with crackling sounds, he was so excited that his heart almost jumped out. The last part was a relatively simple process. He had to infuse the lightning element into the blade and then find the best angle to cut through the air. This strike had to be fast and accurate, and it could not be sloppy. When the lightning element passed through the air and formed a shock wave, this move would be considered complete. Lin Muyu pulled out the steel sword and with a low roar, the lightning element flowed from his arms into the steel sword. The edge of the sword was wrapped in lightning. Although it wasn't as strong as Chu Chu's, it still looked quite powerful. With a schwa sound, she forcefully slashed down. The friction between the lightning element and the air created a chi-chi sound. Too slow. Chu Chu wrinkled his eyebrows and said, This sound isn't right. If your attack speed is too slow, then the destructive power will naturally decrease. The shorter the sound of the friction between the lightning element and the air, the stronger the destructive power. As he said this, he raised his arm and lightly waved it. Almost without any sound, the small tree at the side had already been cut in half. Do you see this? Only when you reach this speed can it be considered a true lightning strike. Lin Muyu originally thought that he had made some small progress. Now, compared to the power of Chu Chu's lightning strike, he simply hadn't even reached the beginner level. Therefore, Lin Muyu practiced sword after sword until she was so focused that she forgot to eat or sleep. On the other hand, Chu Chu plucked an iron pear flower and sat to the side. He slowly used the condensing essence hand to refine the medicine, but his condensing essence hand technique was too strong. It caused the outer layer of iron around the iron pear flower to crack and emit a series of explosive sounds. This meant that the refining of the medicine had failed. The iron pear flower's medicine had already been contaminated and destroyed by the impurities. Lin Muyu watched from afar and shook her head as if saying, You can't even do such a small thing? Chu Chu lowered his head with a face full of shame. His use of true chi was far inferior to Lin Muyu's, at least when it came to the application of the condensing essence hand. Refining medicine required a moderate amount of strength. It was not good to have more or less than that. All the way until the wee hours of the morning, Lin Muyu finally couldn't take it anymore. She lay down not far from Tang Xiaoxi and slept for a while. However, she didn't sleep for more than 3 hours before she was woken up by Chu Chu. Chu Chu seemed to be a person who never needed sleep. He didn't sleep for the whole night, but instead seemed to be full of energy. He held up a pile of medicine and asked Lin Muyu, "Look, how is the purity of these medicine?" Lin Muyu only glanced at it and said, "It's much better than last night." With more practice, the condensing essence hand can be considered a success. "That's right, how's your lightning strike practice going?" Chu Chu asked with a smile. Lin Muyu didn't say anything. The moment she raised her hand to pull out the long sword, the lightning element had already appeared on the blade. With a kacha sound, the blade cut through the air, splitting a stone the size of a bowl into two. The cut was very neat. Chu Chu nodded and smiled. "It's not bad. It's slightly powerful now. With more practice, it'll naturally become even more powerful." Tang Xiaoxi, on the other hand, was so shocked that her small mouth gaped open. Mu is actually this powerful. After hastily eating breakfast, they continued to advance into the depths of the Seven Stars forest. They only had one goal, and that was to find a fire element spirit beast. Moreover, it had to be above 2,000 years old. Using this kind of spirit beast as an offering for Tang Xiaoxi to reach level 30 and enter the Earth realm would be enough. Unfortunately, the heavens didn't seem to want them to meet a suitable spirit beast too early. In the morning, they saw 3 spirit beasts. A 1,200-year-old green python scared Tang Xiaoxi so much that she cried out. A 240-year-old mountain cat, but unfortunately, it was of the wood element. The only fire element spirit beast was a fierce bear, but it only had 700 years of cultivation, so they could only let it go. "Chu, I heard that old spirit beasts can produce spirit stones, and spirit stones can be sold for money. With your cultivation, you can easily kill these spirit beasts. Why are you avoiding them one by one?" Lin Muyu asked. Chu Chu sat on his horse and said leisurely, "All living beings have intelligence, and they are also living beings. They have the same right to live as us. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I won't kill spirit beasts for spirit stones. Besides, Jinxiong coins are just a common thing." Chapter 20. Lin Muyu was secretly speechless. Chu Chu's cultivation was indeed not something she could compare with. He seemed more like an otherworldly expert. Perhaps all experts who had stepped into the Saint Realm would be like this? Who knew? In any case, the strongest person Lin Muyu had seen was this level 94 Saint Realm expert in front of her. The second strongest person was Eagle Eye, who was killed by her with a single slash. It was a pity that Eagle Eye treated human life like grass. Compared to Chu Chu, he was simply an unforgivable villain. In the afternoon, they had officially entered the true depths of the Seven Stars forest. All kinds of spirit beasts ran amok, and many of them were ferocious beasts that killed people. Fortunately, Chu Chu's cultivation was extremely high. He brought the 2 young people along and avoided the foraging routes of the spirit beasts, so they were safe. When it was close to evening, they finally came to a wasteland. Immediately, Chu Chu became excited and said with a smile, "Princess Shi, your beast spirit is not far away." "Oh." Tang Xiaoxi's beautiful face was filled with confusion. Chu Chu explained, "It's obviously autumn now, but the grass in this wasteland has already withered. This is a sign of winter. This can only mean that the grass has been roasted. There must be a fire attribute spirit beast living in this area. Furthermore, to be able to affect the environment to such an extent, the beast spirit must be at least 2,000 years old." Tang Xiaoxi said happily, "All right, let's hurry over." Chu Chu urged the horse forward, and Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi also followed. As they got closer, even the wind that blew against their faces had a scorching feeling. Further ahead, the small forest was already barren, and only a few withered trees were left. Chu Chu dismounted, plucked a branch, and slowly crushed it, saying, "This tree has been withered for more than 3 years. This evil beast must have been here for more than 3 years, so it is quite familiar with the terrain and smell here. Be careful, we might have encountered an extremely strong spirit beast. If the beast spirit is more than 10,000 years old, the two of you should quickly run. Run? Lin Muyu asked cautiously, could it be that Chu can't defeat a 10,000 years old spirit beast? Tang Xiaoxi giggled, silly Mu, Chu is a level 94 holy venerable, and a 10,000 years old spirit beast should have the strength of a holy venerable. If this spirit beast is more than 30,000 years old, then it should have the strength of a level 100 holy king. We don't even have to run anymore. Chu looked back at Lin Muyu and smiled, hey, are you scared yet? Lin Muyu sat lazily on the horse, it's alright, a princess and a holy venerable will be eaten with me. As a level 17 trash, it's not a loss. Tang Xiaoxi glared at him and chuckled, you're quite optimistic. Chu smiled subconsciously. He could not see the arrogance and hatred of young people in Lin Muyu, but he saw more gentleness and motivation. This was also one of the reasons why Chu admired Lin Muyu. Perhaps it was because this kid's alchemy skills were really good? Not long ago, Chu tied his horse to a withered tree at the side and carefully pulled out the sword on his waist. It was a red long sword, which was quite similar to his personality. Although Chu had entered the Saint realm, he still had a fiery temper. Moreover, his martial soul was the fire cauldron, so he was born with the fire attribute. This was also the reason why Tang Xiaoxi's grandfather asked Tang Xiaoxi to follow Chu to train. The three of them slowly came to the foot of a mountain and found a big hole between the rocks. The surrounding rocks were even burnt black. Chu bent down and used his hand to smear the soil on the ground. He sniffed it and said, the last time it passed by here was about 2 days and 2 nights ago. Could it be in its nest? Tang Xiaoxi asked. Chu, do you know what kind of beast is in this hole? Chu looked at the trail of flames on the ground and said, it's a crawling creature, but it seems like a part of its body is moving along the ground, like a snake. What is this? Saying so, Chu looked at Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi and said, you two wait for me outside, don't go in with me. This beast seems to be in a deep sleep, and it's definitely a beast spirit over 5,000 years old. With your strength, you won't be able to help much. Lin Muyu nodded, and Tang Xiaoxi didn't act willfully either. She stood guard outside with Chu. Chu held his sword and entered the cave alone. After waiting for a full 5 minutes, there was no movement at all. Tang Xiaoxi pouted and said, Grandpa Chu couldn't have been eaten by a spirit beast, right? It's been so long. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh, it shouldn't be, he's a holy venerable. Just as she finished speaking, a violent tremor came from inside the cave. Then, they heard Chu's voice coming from inside the cave, run, it's a 9,000-year-old fire flood dragon. Fire flood dragon? Tang Xiaoxi's mouth was wide open. She didn't understand. She had never heard of a spirit beast like the fire flood dragon. Lin Muyu knew it wasn't as simple as it seemed. She quickly grabbed Tang Xiaoxi's hand and used falling star steps to rush to the side of the stone hill. There was a burning sensation behind them. Roar! With a deafening roar, a giant creature chased after Chu out of the cave. It was indeed a fire flood dragon. It was a creature with the head of a horse and the body of a snake. It had 5 claws, but its body moved on the ground. Its body was covered in thick scales, but these scales were wrapped in raging flames. With a roar, it spat out a mouthful of flames at Chu. Damn, a fire flood dragon. Lin Muyu was secretly shocked. A 9,000-year-old fire flood dragon was around level 87. It was a bit weaker than Chu, but not by much. Moreover, it was a spirit beast that had cultivated for close to 10,000 years. Its bestial nature was enough to close the gap. Chu didn't dare to be careless. He suddenly stopped and with his sword in hand, he let out a low roar. The fire cauldron came out of his body and condensed into a giant shield in front of him. This was his martial soul's ability. Flames shot out and the surrounding grass was quickly ignited. This place was about to become a sea of fire. The fire flood dragon roared and suddenly pounced forward, crazily swinging its claws at the fire cauldron. Peng, peng, peng. After a series of attacks, Choo Choo found it extremely difficult to defend. His face began to pale and cold sweat dripped down. He clenched his teeth and decided to go all out. Peng! Lightning appeared on the blade of his sword. With a low roar, Choo Choo activated the cyan rock armor. His figure flashed past the fire flood dragon's chest like lightning. Kacha! It was the lightning strike. The fire flood dragon's front leg was immediately cut off. The lightning strike separation ability was very powerful. At this time, Choo Choo used the lightning strike to show Lin Muyu how powerful this simple move could be. Lin Muyu was naturally dumbstruck. She understood the strength of a 9,000-year-old spirit beast. The scales of the fire flood dragon were extremely hard, but Choo Choo had actually cut off one of its legs with a single slash. Ho! Under the pain, the fire flood dragon could no longer stand straight. It opened its jaws and bit down on Choo Choo. Choo Choo's aura soared. With a loud roar, the fire cauldron suddenly expanded and began to spin rapidly. With a peng sound, the fire flood dragon's head was blown away. Then, Choo Choo's left fist slashed out, sending out a demon sound fist. Peng! The fire flood dragon fell to the ground with an anguished howl. But it still didn't die. Its giant tail swept out like a sharp whip. Choo Choo raised his right arm and the fire cauldron emerged from his body again. He used the walls of the cauldron to block the fire flood dragon's attack. With a loud explosion, cracks appeared on the fire cauldron, but the fire flood dragon was in an even worse state. Its entire tail was a bloody mess. Woo! Choo Choo gave a pitiful cough. His martial spirit and body were one, so if the fire cauldron was injured, it was the same as him being injured. Blood dripped down from the corners of his mouth. In order to kill this fire flood dragon, he had also taken quite a bit of damage. The fire flood dragon roared. Its powerful vitality allowed it to continue raising its sharp claws and pouncing towards Choo Choo. Choo Choo retreated again and again. He wanted to use the demon sound fist to attack this wild beast's vitals. Otherwise, even if he killed the fire flood dragon, he would only have half a life left. At this time, Lin Muyu couldn't stand it anymore. With a low shout, the azure gourd emerged from her body. With a thought, the azure gourd martial spirit flew out. Gourd vines broke out from the ground. This was the twisting roots skill. With a rustling sound, the vines wrapped around the fire flood dragon's injured leg. However, the fire flood dragon was too strong. With a roar, it struggled to break the gourd vines. Woo! Lin Muyu felt pain all over her body. Her martial spirit had been injured. Although the gourd vines were very tough, they were nothing compared to the strength of a 9,000-year-old spirit beast. However, this bought Choo Choo a few seconds. When the fire flood dragon turned around, Choo Choo had already exploded with a demon sound fist. A sharp whistling sound came from the air. With a loud peng, the fire flood dragon's eyeball was directly blasted open. Choo Choo was in for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound. He lifted his sword and flashed like lightning, sending out 3 lightning strikes in a row. Ka ka ka, flesh and blood splattered everywhere. In the next moment, the fire flood dragon's giant head flew to the ground. Blood spurted everywhere. This 9,000-year-old spirit beast was killed just like that. Great! Tang Xiaoxi cheered with a smile. Choo Choo wiped the sweat off his forehead and nodded towards Lin Muyu. He then said, Princess Shi, hurry up and absorb the fire flood dragon's beast spirit. Stop when you've absorbed enough. Otherwise, your body won't be able to bear it. Tang Xiaoxi nodded. She sat cross-legged beside the fire flood dragon's corpse and released her fire fox martial soul. The fire fox squeaked loudly and greedily absorbed the fire flood dragon's spirit energy. Balls of flames enshrouded Tang Xiaoxi and the fire fox, making it almost impossible to see them clearly. This process lasted for nearly an hour. Suddenly, Tang Xiaoxi let out a miserable cry and fainted on the ground. Wisps of flames flew out from her mouth. What's wrong? Lin Muyu was greatly alarmed. Chu Chu's face was even paler and his entire body was trembling. What would happen if something happened to Tang Xiaoxi? She was Duke Zhonglan's only granddaughter, the true pearl of his palm. If something happened to her, his life would be in danger. The fire flood dragon's beast soul is too strong. Xiaoxi has absorbed too much of it and her body can't take it anymore. She needs to cool down with cold water. Quick! Chu Chu suddenly lay on the ground and listened to the pulse of the earth. He then flipped himself up and said, Lin Muyu, use your footwork to carry Princess Shi 5 miles south. There's a lake there. Quick! Lin Muyu hurriedly bent down and carried Tang Xiaoxi. However, the moment she carried her, she felt as if she was hugging a piece of burning charcoal. Use your martial soul to resist the heat. Let's go. Lin Muyu hurriedly summoned the green gourd. As expected, the small gourd could reduce a lot of the heat. However, it was still very unbearable. She activated the star steps and dashed towards the lake in the south. Chu Chu's running speed was slightly slower. He shouted, when we reach the lake, carry her and jump into the lake. Take off her clothes. Quick, don't hesitate. Lin Muyu's mind went blank. Did such a good thing happen to her today? However, she didn't have time to think about it. Tang Xiaoxi's life was at stake. No matter what would happen between them in the future, the most important thing now was not to let her die. Soon, the lake appeared in front of them. Lin Muyu leaped and fell into the lake with Tang Xiaoxi. Pfft! Like a fireball falling into the water, Tang Xiaoxi's clothes were quickly taken off. Soon, the beautiful princess appeared in Lin Muyu's arms naked. She was in extreme pain and subconsciously extended her arms to hug Lin Muyu's neck. She could feel the coldness from Lin Muyu's martial soul. That was what she needed. Water vapor rose from the surroundings and it was almost impossible to see what was happening. At this moment, Lin Muyu was in even more pain. The beautiful princess was in her arms and she could even feel her proud breasts pressing against her chest. The feeling was indescribable. Oh no, I've fallen. Chapter 21. The raging fire force gushed out from Tang Xiaoxi's body, and Lin Muyu could only rely on his martial soul to neutralize the force. However, the fire force of the 10,000-year fire dragon was so strong that it could not be neutralized by a mere green gourd. The fire force quickly raged in the lake, and with a sizzling sound, the lake water continuously evaporated. In the blink of an eye, the entire lake seemed to be boiling. Woo! Tang Xiaoxi woke up from her coma with a moan, but she only felt that her internal organs were burning, and every cell in her body was on fire. She did not know that the beast spirit of the fire dragon would be so violent, and she did not expect that she would not listen to Chu Chu and absorb more of it would be fatal. At this time, when she opened her eyes, she only saw Lin Muyu hugging her with his eyes closed. The front of his chest was almost burnt black, and a faint layer of light from the green gourd martial soul enveloped him. If it was not for the green gourd, he would have been burned to death. Looking down at herself, she was naked. In an instant, Tang Xiaoxi's heart trembled, and her face turned red. However, when she looked up and saw Lin Muyu closing his eyes to neutralize the force, she could not help but feel touched. Just as she was about to say something, a wave of fire force rushed to her soul, and she fainted again in Lin Muyu's arms. Unknowingly, Chu Chu had already arrived at the lakeside. Seeing the young man and woman hugging each other in the lake, he did not stop them. Instead, he sighed in his heart, this kind of fate, how can I obtain it? After a while, Chu Chu said from afar, Lin Muyu, hold on, the princess's life is already in your hands, you must hold on no matter what. This is also a kind of cultivation for you, and it can greatly enhance the strength of your martial soul, understand? Lin Muyu did not speak, at this time, even if he did not want to hold on. He had no choice but to hold on. He was already tied with Tang Xiaoxi. The fire flood dragon's flame force was too vicious. In the blink of an eye, it surged 7 or 8 times. Gradually, the tip of the green gourd marshal's soul was burnt black. The marshal's soul and the cultivator were one. Lin Muyu felt a sweetness in her throat and a mouthful of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth to her chest. Her mind became blank and her spirit was about to collapse. No, I can't give up like this. He gritted his teeth. How could he give in so easily? Enduring the damage to his martial soul, he continued to extract the excess fire dragon's spiritual power for Tang Xiaoxi. Nearly 2 hours had passed, and more than half of the water in the lake had evaporated. The water in the lake could only reach the ankles of Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi, but this did not stop them from releasing the fire force into the lake. Finally, Tang Xiaoxi let out a whimper and woke up once again. This time, she finally felt that the heat in her body was under control. She gently exerted her strength and the fire fox martial spirit also woke up from its deep slumber. It squeaked and lay on her shoulder. On the contrary, Lin Muyu groaned and finally couldn't support herself anymore. She knelt in the mud and spat out another mouthful of blood into the lake, dyeing the originally clear lake red. Tang Xiaoxi was embarrassed and anxious. The moment when Lin Muyu knelt down, his body almost fell along with her, and her cheeks slid down her delicate breasts. This kind of touch was something she had never experienced before. For a moment, her cheeks blushed, and she stood there staring blankly at Lin Muyu's cheeks resting on her lower abdomen. The more she looked, the redder her cheeks became. She did not know what to do, and only anxiously said, "Moo. Are you okay? Moo." In the distance, Chu Chu took out the luggage on the back of the horse, and with a "hua" sound, threw a piece of clothing over, and said loudly, "Princess, put on some clean clothes and bring Lin Muyu ashore. His martial soul is seriously injured." Tang Xiaoxi quickly put on an exquisite green cloak, and then carried Lin Muyu. She activated the power of her martial soul, and with a leap, she brought him to the dry shore. Lin Muyu was unconscious. After Tang Xiaoxi changed into a new set of clothes, she anxiously asked, "Chu, is he okay?" "It's all my fault. It's all my fault, otherwise he wouldn't be like this." She was so anxious that she was about to cry. Chu Chu glanced at Tang Xiaoxi, and he secretly calculated in his heart. Tang Xiaoxi's identity was simply too illustrious. She was the granddaughter of the Duke of Tsanglan, one of the 2 founding fathers of the empire, and she was fully deserving of being the apple of his eye. Logically speaking, Lin Muyu was merely a commoner, and for a commoner to die for a noble like Tang Xiaoxi, wasn't it reasonable? Right now, Tang Xiaoxi looked like she was about to cry. Could it be that she had feelings for this fellow? Chu Chu didn't dare to continue thinking about it. It wasn't a beautiful thing for a noble lady to fall in love with a poor fellow, and the ending was usually a tragedy. Chu Chu didn't wish for Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi to end up like this. Rather than that, he might as well cut off their ties now. "Princess Shi," Chu Chu gently said, "we've been out for long enough, and Lin Muyu is also heavily injured. His martial soul contains a lot of the fire energy of the fire dragons, and we can't expel it. His cultivation can be considered crippled as well, so let's bring him back to Cathia's city and give him some gold as compensation. What do you think?" Tang Xiaoxi was stunned, and she stared at Chu Chu in shock. Biting her red lips, she called out his name in a stern voice, "Chu Chu." "Princess." Chu Chu hurriedly knelt on one knee. There was a difference in status, and he understood his own identity and position. "I order you, you must save Lin Muyu, or I will absolutely not return to the imperial capital with you." "Yes." Chu Chu sighed inwardly, knowing that he couldn't be the bad guy who severed his ties with Lin Muyu. "Fine, I'll save him then. In any case, Lin Muyu's injuries had something to do with me. Lin Muyu's green gourd only has 1 layer, so there's a limit to how strong it is. He's almost crippled by the flames, and even if he's saved, he can't use his martial soul anymore. There's nothing we can do, unless... Chu Chu was at a loss. Tang Xiaoxi bit her red lips, and her eyes were covered with a layer of mist. Unless what? Chu Chu continued, unless we can obtain the beast spirit of a water-type spirit beast that's at least 5,000 years old, and use water to control the fire. Only then will we be able to cure his green gourd martial soul. But water-type spirit beasts over 5,000 years old don't run around everywhere, so it's easier said than done to find them. If we were in Lanyan City, we might be able to easily find such a spirit beast in the dragon-seeking forest, but this is the Seven Stars Forest, and the types of spirit beasts here are far inferior to those in the dragon-seeking forest. Then what should we do? Tang Xiaoxi slowly knelt beside Lin Muyu's body, and she couldn't help but burst into tears as she recalled how Lin Muyu hugged her to remove the flame force desperately. At this moment, the sun was setting, and the tide of the lake was rising. Chu Chu suddenly stared at the lake in a daze. Chu, what's wrong? Tang Xiaoxi asked softly. Chu Chu clapped his hands, and said, Princess, Lin Muyu can be saved. Ah. Tang Xiaoxi stood up abruptly, and her face was filled with joy. She smiled as if she had just escaped from a desperate situation, and said, Tell me, Chu, what's going on? Have you thought of a way to save him? Chu Chu nodded, and pointed at the lake that was slowly rising, and said, The tide in the lake area usually won't rise so quickly, and there's a strong smell of medicine in the lake. It's the smell of the rainbow lotus. If I'm not mistaken, there's a very old giant beast living in the lake, the black tortoise. Black tortoise? Yes, the black tortoise is a magical underwater creature that can swallow clouds and spit out mist. It's said that a black tortoise over 2,000 years old has swallowed a huge amount of water and compressed it into its body. Since the tide can rise, it means that there must be something abnormal at the bottom of the lake, and there's the smell of the rainbow lotus in the lake. As far as I know, the black tortoise's favorite food is the rainbow lotus, and this smell must come from the black tortoise's feces. Since the tide is rising, the black tortoise must have discharged its feces when it was defecating. Tang Xiaoxi was flabbergasted. At this moment, Lin Muyu's body twitched slightly, and she woke up from her coma. She sniffed her nose and said, What's this smell? Is it the rainbow lotus? I haven't smelled it for a long time. Chu Chu chuckled, Kid, you're lucky. Don't move around and wait here. I'll be kind today and lure the black tortoise out for you. You and Princess Shi stay here, I'll kill this black tortoise. Lin Muyu quickly thanked him, even though she didn't know why he wanted to kill the black tortoise. In the next moment, Chu Chu activated his martial soul, and the fire cauldron came out of his body with a buzz. With a stride, it rushed into the depths of the lake and was submerged by the lake water. After a full 10 minutes, there was still no movement. Lin Muyu stood up and circulated the true qi in her body, but she found that the true qi was flowing smoothly. However, the green gourd martial's soul seemed to be heavily damaged, and her meridians were also injured. A wave of heat that could kill was rampaging in her meridians, but there seemed to be another force suppressing the spiritual power of the fire flood dragon. Otherwise, her weak body would have been burned long ago. Why is it taking so long? Tang Xiaoxi was a little anxious. Just as she finished speaking, a wave of water suddenly rushed into the sky. No, it was a water arrow. Chu Chu flew out of the water with the fire cauldron in his hand. With a loud roar, he turned around and punched the water. A giant beast chased after him from the water. It was indeed a giant tortoise, and it was an extremely ferocious giant tortoise. Its body was extremely sturdy, and the radius of its shell was at least 20 meters. As it swam, it created waves of water, and its momentum was astonishing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tang Xiaoxi counted as she opened her small mouth and said, 6 golden tortoise shells. Wow, this is a black tortoise that's at least 6,000 years old. Moo, your luck is really good. After killing the black tortoise, you can refine its beast spirit. Lin Muyu nodded her head and said, N. Very quickly, the black tortoise was lured to the land by Choo Choo. It roared like a super tank, but the water arrow attacks were all blocked by the fire cauldron. After all, there was a great disparity in strength. In the blink of an eye, it was tortured to the point of death. In the end, it was directly killed by Choo Choo's heavenly lightning strike. Quick, Lin Muyu, use your martial spirit to absorb this black tortoise's beast spirit. Lin Muyu used the falling star steps and rushed over. She only felt a burst of dizziness and her body was too weak. She sat down cross-legged beside the black tortoise and began to refine the black tortoise's precious beast spirit. Chapter 22. The black tortoise was one of the overlords under the water, and it had cultivated in the depths of the lake for more than 6,200 years. It had already mastered spirituality. Only Choo Choo, a master of the sanctuary, could subdue it when he came here today. Moreover, the black tortoise's fate was not very good. If Tang Xiaoxi had not absorbed too much spiritual qi from the fire flood dragon and evaporated half of the lake water, the black tortoise would not have been discovered by Choo Choo. As soon as the green-gourd marshal's soul touched the cold and soft beast spirit of the black tortoise, it absorbed the spiritual qi crazily as if it was a good rain after a drought. Lin Muyu sat there with her eyes closed, but her whole body was trembling. Although her eyes were closed, waves of air had been generated in the bottom of her heart. She could even look inside her dantian, only to find that her dantian had been burned dry by the fire flood dragon. The vines that grew out of the martial soul gourd had been burned to a mess and were crazily absorbing the spiritual qi of the black tortoise. The scorched black vines of the gourd also gradually returned to the original green color, as if they were healing themselves quickly. Lin Muyu was amazed. It was amazing that she could see the martial soul gourd with her eyes closed. After absorbing for nearly 20 minutes, the burns on the green gourd had basically healed, and the branches and leaves seemed more luxuriant. Lin Muyu also felt that the injuries in her meridians and bones had all been healed. An invisible force was surging in the green gourd, and it seemed that it would not be satisfied until it was released. Was it going to break through? Lin Muyu secretly rejoiced and called in the bottom of her heart, "Lulu, are you still there?" "Brother, I'm here." In Yi, the beautiful figure of the elf female official Lulu appeared. She flapped her transparent wings and appeared in front of Lin Muyu. She smiled and said, "Brother, are you refining this gourd again?" "Yeah, can you help me see what materials I need to advance to the next level?" Lulu opened her small mouth and looked at the huge body of the black tortoise outside. She said, "Wow, it's a 1,000-year-old black tortoise. Brother, this is a top-grade refining material. There's a scarlet shell in the center of the black tortoise's shell, which is the most precious part of the black tortoise's body. It's called the fire armor. Although this fire armor isn't big, it contains the black tortoise's thousands of years of cultivation. Brother, take this fire armor out and put it into the refining cauldron." Lin Muyu slowly opened her eyes and said to Tang Xiaoxi, "Princess Shi, please do me a favor." Tang Xiaoxi was a little embarrassed. She turned her face away and was afraid to look Lin Muyu in the eyes. It seemed that after facing Lin Muyu naked, it was difficult for her to face him. She said softly, "Say it." In the middle of the black tortoise's shell, there's a fiery red shell. Can you dig it out with a knife and give it to me? Sure. Although Tang Xiaoxi didn't know what he wanted to do, she knew that Lin Muyu saved her life not long ago, so she had to help him. The fire armor was the most precious part of the black tortoise. Because the black tortoise belonged to the water attribute, it was cold, but the spiritual energy it absorbed contained both water and fire. Therefore, the black tortoise refined all the spiritual energy of the fire on its shell and formed the fire armor. The spirituality of this fire armor was far better than that of the other shells. This was also the reason why the fire armor was so precious. Originally, he planned to take it back to practice, but he did not expect that this boy was so knowledgeable. Well, he had already stepped into the sanctuary realm, so there was no need to compete with the younger generation. A few minutes later, Tang Xiaoxi jumped off the back of the black tortoise with a huge shell about 1 meter in diameter, drenched in sweat. She handed it to Lin Muyu and said, "Mu, what do you want this for?" Lin Muyu smiled mysteriously, "Refine it. I'll have to trouble Princess and Chu Chu to protect me for a while." Chu Chu and Tang Xiaoxi couldn't see the refining cauldron. All they could see was a faint glowing energy. Lin Muyu just threw the fire armor out. Suddenly, the energy fluctuated violently. He had begun to refine it. This time, he didn't need other materials. The energy of the fire armor alone was enough for the green gourd marshal's soul to make a breakthrough. The fire armor in the refining cauldron slowly became smaller, turning into pure fire power and seeping into the green gourd. This process lasted for about 30 minutes. When Lin Muyu stood up from the ground, his temperament and expression seemed to have changed greatly. Even Tang Xiaoxi couldn't help but say, You seem to be different." Chu Chu saw through it and smiled. He has broken through the second hurdle of the human realm and stepped into the third hurdle. Now his strength should be at level 27. Of course, he is different. Ah, so fast? Tang Xiaoxi was stunned. I'm just, Chu Chu said, "Princess, you have absorbed too much of the fire dragon spirit energy, but it is also a blessing in disguise. Your strength has already stepped into the 36th level of the War Master. Congratulations, to be able to step into the first level of the Earth realm at the age of less than 20 is considered rare in the Empire." Tang Xiaoxi was secretly happy. Lin Muyu said, "Chu, I was actually able to close my eyes and see the appearance of the green gourd. What's going on?" Chu Chu couldn't help but laugh, "Because you have broken through to the third hurdle of the human realm. The most obvious improvement for a cultivator at the third hurdle of the human realm is the ability to look inside. You actually don't understand such a simple thing. Oh right, Princess Shi, when your fire fox absorbed the fire dragon spirit energy, did you refine the fire dragon skill?" "No." Tang Xiaoxi shook her head in disappointment. "Where's Kid Lin?" Chu Chu asked again. "I think so." Lin Muyu smiled slightly. "Huh?" Chu Chu and Tang Xiaoxi were both shocked. "Quickly show us." "Yes." At this moment, Lin Muyu felt that his entire body was filled with powerful energy, and he had to spit it out. After a low shout, the green gourd came out of his body, and with a wave of his hand, a gigantic gourd appeared in front of him in a defensive arc. He activated his skill, and with a wang sound, a scorching flame quickly spat out, and actually condensed into a fiery red-black tortoise shell in front of the gourd. Black tortoise shell. Chu Chu was secretly shocked, and said, "Although your green gourd is only a 10th rank martial spirit, it has broken through twice and refined 2 martial spirit skills. It is truly rare. Shao Shi, use your fire fox to test the defense of Lin Muyu's black tortoise shell." "Can I?" "Mu?" Tang Xiaoxi asked carefully. After all, she was already in the first layer of the Earth realm, 1 level higher than her opponent, and the fire fox was a 2nd-rank martial spirit, which was much stronger than the green gourd. It would be bad if she accidentally hurt her opponent. Lin Muyu was just about to test the defense of the black tortoise shell, so he nodded happily. "Come on, Princess." Tang Xiaoxi was also a little excited, and with a wang sound, flames surrounded her, and the fire fox came out of her body, and with a shrill sound, it hit the wall of the gourd released from Lin Muyu's palm. Bang! The fire fox was of the fire attribute, but so was the black tortoise shell. Under the attack, Lin Muyu retreated a few steps, and the blood in her chest was surging. Good heavens! Although Tang Xiaoxi looked like a delicate and beautiful girl, her real strength was really strong. This attack almost numbed my arm, and it seemed that she did not use her full strength, otherwise I would not feel good. Tang Xiaoxi was also stunned. At least 80% of the fire fox's strength was used in this attack, and she thought that it could penetrate the black tortoise shell, so she could quickly withdraw her strength and not hurt Lin Muyu. However, Tang Xiaoxi did not expect that after the attack of the fire fox, the black tortoise shell was not damaged at all. Although Lin Muyu was repelled, it was only because of her advantage in the power of fire, and it did not mean that the fire fox had defeated the green gourd. This made her a little sad. She was born in the famous Tang family of Qihai City, and she had comprehended the fire fox marshal's soul at a young age. None of the elder brothers in the family had comprehended the fire fox, except for her. This was also one of the reasons why her grandfather loved her so much. The fire fox was the symbol of the family, and also the symbol of power. But now, her second-grade martial soul could only be tied with Lin Muyu's 10th-grade martial soul. This was a big blow to the competitive Tang Xiaoxi. However, looking at Lin Muyu's frowning face, Tang Xiaoxi could not be cruel. Instead, she felt that she might have hurt him, and felt a little guilty. She put away the fire fox and asked, "Mu, are you okay?" Her question made Lin Muyu feel embarrassed. She shook her head and said, "I'm fine. The attack of the fire fox was too shocking for Green Gourd, and my arm is a little numb." Tang Xiaoxi smiled happily. "That's good. I was afraid that I would hurt you." Chu Chu said from the side, "This kid's cultivation is not low, and Green Gourd has refined the black tortoise shell. She is already a defense-type martial soul, so it won't be easy for you to hurt him." Tang Xiaoxi stuck out her tongue. "I didn't want to hurt him." Lin Muyu smiled silently. It was already dark outside. Chu Chu looked at the sky and said, "We probably won't be able to leave tonight. Since Princess She has broken through to the first level of the Earth realm, this old man's mission is considered complete. We'll spend the night in the open and return to Silver Fir City at full speed tomorrow morning." "All right." They set up a campfire. They had planned to bake some buns, but Tang Xiaoxi felt that she was sick of eating too many buns, so she took out a pot from her backpack and decided to make some meat soup. It was already late and it was impossible to hunt rabbits, so they could only gather meat on the spot. They dug out a large piece of meat from the black tortoise and another piece from the fire dragon. The two types of meat were incompatible, so it was a novelty to cook them together. Moreover, Chu Chu often slept in the wild, so he actually brought salt and seasonings. Lin Muyu gathered some wild vegetables and threw them into the pot to cook. Not long after, a thick fragrance spread from the bottom of the mountain. After entering the Seven Stars forest, Tang Xiaoxi hadn't eaten anything delicious. Now that she could finally eat to her heart's content, Lin Muyu ate a lot as well. The more energy he absorbed, the more he needed to replenish himself. When night fell, Tang Xiaoxi fell asleep again. She lay on her side with her back facing Lin Muyu. This beautiful princess could sleep much more than Lin Muyu and Chu Chu, so it was no wonder that she was so slender and elegant. If she could stay up all day like Chu Chu, then she would definitely look like him, with her skin as rough as tree bark. Lin Muyu didn't sleep. After practicing Thunderstrike and flying daggers for a few hours, she went into the depths of the lake alone. This kid, Chu Chu, narrowed his eyes and opened his domain. After sensing that there were no threats in the surroundings, he followed, only to find that Lin Muyu had dived into the depths of the lake. A few minutes later, she surfaced with a cluster of fragrant lotus flowers in her arms. Under the moonlight, these lotuses glowed with color and were exceptionally enchanting. Chapter 23. Dripping wet, Lin Muyu walked to the fire and placed the lotus on the ground. Chu Chu couldn't help but ask, "This is the seven-colored lotus, right? What are you going to do with it?" "Refine medicine," Lin Muyu lightly said. "Lin Muyu, do you really not understand, or are you pretending not to understand?" Chu Chu asked. "What's wrong?" This time, it was Lin Muyu's turn to be confused. Chu Chu sat up and said, "The seven-colored lotus is a level 7 medicinal herb. It emits a delicate fragrance and is slightly poisonous. People who consume it will hallucinate. Moreover, the seven-colored lotus is very rare. Some nobles like to use the powder of the seven-colored lotus to make medicine for a short period of pleasure. This herb has long been listed as a forbidden medicine by the Empire's spiritual medicine department. Only the military doctors have the right to use the seven-colored lotus to relieve the pain of the injured. You actually dare to use it to refine medicine? There's such a thing?" Lin Muyu thought for a moment and shook her head. It's okay. As long as you don't tell anyone, no one will report me. As he spoke, he looked at Tang Xiaoxi, who was in a deep sleep. This beautiful little princess would definitely not tell on him. Chu Chu stared at this brat and said, "What do you want to refine with the 7-colored lotus?" As far as I know, the 7-colored lotus cannot be used with other medicinal herbs to refine medicine. The recipe for the 7-colored lotus has been lost for thousands of years. Dream of the extreme. Just these 4 simple words were enough to shock Chu Chu. Dream of the extreme, this was a long-lost phrase because the recipe for this medicine had long been forgotten by the world. The last person who had the ability to refine dream of the extreme was an alchemy god, but he had passed away thousands of years ago. Dream of the extreme was a rare medicine. It was listed as a level 7 medicine by the spiritual medicine department. Legend has it that this medicine could greatly stimulate a person's potential. After drinking the medicine, the person would fall into a deep sleep for at least 3 days and 3 nights. After waking up, the person's cultivation would increase greatly. It was even said that a person with a heavens-handicapped physique comprehended a martial spirit after sleeping for 4 days after drinking Dream of the Extreme. For cultivators, dream of returning to the peak was something they yearned for even in their dreams. Do you really know the formula for Dream of the Zenith? Chu Chu looked at the young man in front of him in disbelief. Lin Muyu smiled. What do you think? Otherwise, I would have drowned. Do you think I picked these 7-colored lotuses just to play with you? As he spoke, he looked around and asked, are there any skeleton trees nearby? Skeleton tree, one of the level 6 medicinal herbs. It was said that it would only grow on the bones of animals. Its attribute was extremely cold, and it was usually used in medicine to refine the flame energy in the human body. Chu Chu nodded. When I came here, there was a skeleton tree about 5 miles away. But your cultivation is so weak, you might not be able to come back alive. You have to understand, spirit beasts over 1,000 years old have the ability to kill you. Lin Muyu chuckled. So, don't tell me you want me to help you pick the skeleton tree? What do you think? Dream on. Chu Chu folded his arms and collapsed on the rock. He was extremely cold and arrogant. The strength and arrogance of a sanctuary powerhouse was indeed daunting. In this world, I'm probably the only one who knows the formula for Dream of the Zenith. Do you want to be the second one? Even the royal apothecary will look at you differently. Lin Muyu's voice was very soft. Chu Chu's body trembled slightly, and he struggled with himself for less than a second before he turned around and dashed into the distance as if he was flying. Protect Princess Shi well. I'll be back soon. The sanctuary expert was very fast. In less than 10 minutes, he was back with a pale white sapling in his hands. With an eagerly attentive look on his face, he smiled and said, I've brought it back. You have to teach me how to refine Reverie Extreme Peak. Lin Muyu smiled secretly, but she said sternly, the method to refine Dream of the Zenith is a top secret. I won't tell ordinary people, so there's a condition if you want to learn it. What condition? Teach me the green rock armor and the demonic sonic punch. Brat, you want to learn both of them? You're too arrogant. Chu Chu raised his eyebrows. Lin Muyu was a bit sad. She said indifferently, Dream of the Zenith is a lost art, forget it, deal. Chu Chu was really an old man who couldn't resist temptation. Of course, this was only in terms of alchemy. If he wasn't so obsessed with alchemy, he probably wouldn't have become good friends with Chu Feng. Therefore, Lin Muyu taught Chu Chu step by step how to use the essence condensing hand to extract the medicinal essence from the skeleton tree. This process was extremely exquisite and complicated. She taught him more than 10 times before Chu Chu finally understood it. Refining the medicinal essence of the 7-colored lotus was relatively easy. As for refining medicine, it was even more complicated. The 2 medicinal essences had to be repeatedly fed with fire to remove the impurities. After that, he had to use the essence condensing hand to promote the fusion of the 2 medicinal essences. After more than 3 hours, Lin Muyu had refined a total of 5 bottles of Dream of the Zenith, and Choo Choo had refined 2 bottles. Choo Choo picked up one of the bottles refined by Lin Muyu and smelled it. He was stunned. Second grade dream of the zenith? Oh my god. Smell yours again. Lin Muyu smiled. Just like Hawkeye, Choo Choo was experienced. He could determine the quality of the medicine just by smelling it. He smelled the 2 bottles he refined and couldn't help but be extremely disappointed. 9th grade, it's not bad. At least this is the genuine dream of the zenith. Lin Muyu stuffed all 5 bottles of potions into her bag. Wait, Choo Choo looked at the 5 bottles of Dream of the Zenith in Lin Muyu's bag and said, Can you leave 1 bottle for the princess? She's at the golden age of cultivation, and a bottle of Dream of the Zenith is very important to her. I don't have any money for you. Name a price. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh and said, Princess forget it, I'll give her a bottle. Okay, thank you. All right. Lin Muyu clapped her hands and said, I've already taught you everything about Dream of Returning Peak's medicine essence refinement, formula, and refining method. Now, it's time for you to fulfill your promise and teach me the green rock armor and demonic sonorous fist. Okay. Choo Choo was a man of his word. Under the moonlight, it wasn't difficult to teach him the formula of the green rock armor and the circulation method of the vital energy. He just needed to transform the vital energy in his body into a thick rock force, which could be considered as an upgraded version of the protective vital energy. Although the green rock armor was only a protective energy for Choo Choo, for Lin Muyu, using the green rock armor together with the black tortoise shell was not as simple as 1 + 1 is equal to 2. Instead, it was an exponential increase. With this extraordinary defense, he could challenge experts whose strength was higher than his. After more than an hour of practice, he could already condense a faint green rock force around his body. It was just that it was far from being as dense as Choo Choo's. What he needed to practice next was just mastery. At least for now, he could be considered to have made some progress. After learning the green rock armor, he continued to ask Choo Choo for guidance. Demonic Sound Fist was Lin Muyu's favorite unique skill. Since the first time Choo Choo used the demonic sound fist, Lin Muyu had fallen in love with this move. Through the pulsation of vital energy, he could affect the fluctuation of the air and form a sound wave to attack the opponent from a distance. It could shock the opponent's internal organs. What a cool unique skill. However, the more powerful the martial arts, the more difficult it was to learn. The basic ability of the demonic sound fist was called wind beating. When a punch was made, it could form a pulse in the air. It required the speed of the punch to be close to the speed of sound. At the same time, it could stimulate the vital energy to push the fluctuation of the air. Just this alone, Lin Muyu practiced barehanded for at least 3 hours. He was sweating profusely. Finally, he mastered the skill of wind beating before dawn. Choo Choo watched Lin Muyu practicing. His heart was in turmoil. He had seen many geniuses in his life, but he had never seen a genius like Lin Muyu. This kid only used 3 hours to learn the skill of wind beating. In order to master the skill of wind beating, he had practiced hard for 7 days and 7 nights. Did this mean that this kid's comprehension was 10 times better than his? Choo Choo was a little hesitant. He didn't even know what kind of terrifying person he was teaching. However, from the moment they met, Choo Choo seemed to have a vague feeling that Lin Muyu was hiding something. But he was definitely not a bad person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have risked his life to save Tang Xiaoxi. Even though Tang Xiaoxi possessed a beauty that could cause the downfall of cities and countries, and those princes and dukes in the imperial capital had all claimed that they were willing to sacrifice their lives for Tang Xiaoxi, but if that moment really came, it was likely that all of them would shrink back. After all, when it came to things like beauties, lechers only wanted to possess them, not to protect them. After learning the wind technique, Lin Muyu began to teach Choo Choo the chant of the demonic noise fist. What shocked Choo Choo again was that the chant was so long that Lin Muyu could memorize it by heart after reading it 3 times. Looking at Choo Choo's dumbfounded expression, Lin Muyu also laughed in his heart. It was just memorizing a chant of 1,000 words. This was all a small matter. Thinking back to when he was learning shorthand, it was truly domineering. Moreover, the first prize that he had won in various competitions since he was young wasn't just for show. Top student, gaming king, super rich second generation, this was his identity. Speaking of which, the Lamborghini that he ordered should have returned from abroad, right? He didn't know if his brother and father would accept it for him. Now that he was in this strange world, he didn't know how to return. The only thing he could do was to live on. Looking up at the starry sky, Lin Muyu felt lost. However, when he looked down, the faint morning light shone on Tang Xiaoxi's peaceful face. It seemed that he could find something here. Everything that he had would eventually disappear like smoke. Who knew what tomorrow would bring? When the true dawn arrived, Lin Muyu finally grasped the basics of the demonic noise fist. At the very least, she could hit a tree 10 meters away and cause it to tremble slightly. Although the damage it dealt didn't seem like much, the power of the demonic noise fist would gradually show itself as her cultivation increased. Most importantly, any random battle technique in Silver Fir City could be sold for several Jin coins, and there was no lack of inferior or deceptive battle techniques. The Thunderstrike Slash, Cyan Rock Armor, and Demonic Noise Fist that she learned from Chu Chu were all genuine high-rank battle techniques. Most importantly, they were free. Chapter 24. They set out early in the morning, but they still hadn't made it out of Seven Stars Forest by sunset. However, they were already 50 kilometers away from Silver Fir City, so they decided to travel at night. Moreover, Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi's cultivation had improved so much that Chu Chu wasn't worried about encountering spirit beasts that were too strong. Even if he didn't take action himself, the spirit beasts on the outskirts of Seven Stars Forest could be taken care of by the two juniors. Along the way, Lin Muyu had been silently practicing the demon sonorous fist on horseback. He would either circulate his energy, catch his breath, or punch at the trees in the distance. He did not waste any time along the way. The speed and strength of every punch of the demon sonorous fist grew stronger and stronger. Naturally, the power was also increasing. Seeing this, Chu Chu secretly praised Lin Muyu in his heart. This kid was indeed a rare genius. To be able to master the Thunderstrike Slash, Green Rock Armor, and Demon Sonorous Fist in such a short period of time, how powerful would he be in the future? They arrived at Silver Fir City late at night. When the three of them arrived at the city gates, a guard dressed in red robes had already walked up to restrain Tang Xiaoxi's mount. He smiled respectfully. "Congratulations on your success, Princess Shi. You've broken through the human realm and stepped into the first level of the Earth realm." Tang Xiaoxi smiled slightly. "Thank you. Let's enter the city and stay at the courier house tonight. We'll depart tomorrow morning and return to the imperial capital. I haven't been back in a long time." "Yes." The guard raised his head to look at Lin Muyu and said in surprise, "This kid looks very familiar." Lin Muyu said, "I'm a worker at 100 Spirits Medicine Shop." "I see. You must be that Lin Muyu who refined a first-grade medicine." "Yes." "Ha." The guard laughed dryly for some reason and said, "Tomorrow is the day when the younger generation of Kathia City's alchemy world will fight for the pardon writ. The young city lord, Hua Wan, is determined to win it, but since you've returned tonight, I'm sure there will be an exciting fight tomorrow. Princess Shi, would you like to watch?" Tang Xiaoxi couldn't resist the temptation and looked back at Chu Chu. Chu Chu smiled helplessly. "Fine, fine. We'll leave after watching the fight tomorrow morning. Plus, Princess Shi is the envoy this time. She should be the one to personally issue the pardon." "Yes, thank you, Chu." And so, Tang Xiaoxi seemed to be purposely avoiding him. After Lin Muyu sent Tang Xiaoxi and Chu Chu back to the courier house, he rode back to 100 Spirits Medicine Shop. When he pushed open the door, he saw Chu Yao standing under a tree in the distance, lights swirling around her. She was cultivating her martial soul, the Purple Marten. The Purple Marten was very cute and was very similar to Tang Xiaoxi's martial soul, the red fox, but it was much weaker. The red fox was a second-grade martial soul, while the purple marten was a fifth-grade martial soul. It was the difference between a commoner's martial soul and a noble's. "Sister Chu Yao." Lin Muyu called out softly. Immediately, Chu Yao opened her beautiful eyes and jumped forward in joy, hugging him with open arms. You've returned safely." "Humph, senior brother Wang Ying said that you might not be able to return." "Quickly, let me see." She intimately pulled Lin Muyu's arm and looked at him. He seemed to have become stronger, and the flow of true qi on the surface of his body was also much more vigorous than before. The biggest change was the expression in his eyes. Confidence and calmness showed that his strength had increased. "Sister Chu Yao, I have a martial soul." Lin Muyu smiled. Chu Yao said excitedly, "Oh, what kind of martial soul?" Lin Muyu muttered softly, and immediately, the azure gourd came out of his body. He said with some embarrassment, "Azure gourd, a 10th grade martial soul, but it's still very easy to cultivate." "Oh." Chu Yao hurriedly comforted him, "It's okay, a 10th grade martial soul is still a martial soul. It will help your cultivation progress." It's good. At most, I'll represent 100 Spirits Medicine Shop in the competition for the special pardon order tomorrow. In any case, I've already cultivated to rank 21. Wow, Sister Chu Yao's cultivation speed is quite fast. I remember that you just broke through rank 19 to rank 20 last time. That's right. Chu Yao stuck out her full chest and said with a confident smile, "I'm currently the person with the highest cultivation in the entire 100 Spirits Medicine Shop. Do you think I can beat Huawan?" "It's a bit difficult." Lin Muyu touched his nose and said honestly. Chu Yao smiled and lightly patted his shoulder, saying, "Can't you have a bit of confidence in your senior sister? Alright, you must be starving since you came back so late. I'll go make you something to eat. Yesterday, I went into the mountains to gather herbs and caught 2 wild rabbits. I left half for you." That glutton Luo Kai, if it wasn't for me, he would definitely eat the other half." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. Her heart felt warm. She didn't know when, but she actually felt like she had returned home. The night passed quickly. Chu Feng, Wang Ying, Luo Kai, and the others all came to see Lin Muyu when they heard that she had returned. Chu Yao was the last to leave Lin Muyu's room. As soon as Chu Yao left, Lin Muyu immediately sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate the true qi within her body. In this world, the levels of strength were measured by the intensity of one's strength. The more vigorous and pure one's true qi was, the higher one's level of strength would be. She couldn't slack off. The next morning, Chu Yao knocked on the door early in the morning. After breakfast, all the disciples of the 100 Spirits Medicine Shop went to the venue for the special pardon writ contest. Chu Feng also followed. Ever since Chu Yao had broken through to the second level of the human realm, he had placed great expectations on this granddaughter of his. Perhaps Chu Yao would be able to emerge victorious in this contest? Silver Fir City was known as the alchemy capital of the empire. There had once been 2 alchemy god-level masters in Silver Fir City, but that was a matter of several thousand years ago. Even so, the citizens of Silver Fir City were still diligently pursuing the art of alchemy. The younger generation also wanted to diligently practice alchemy and reclaim the glory of their ancestors. The arena was set up in the drill ground of the city lord's mansion. According to the laws of the empire, every city lord had the right to train a certain number of prefecture soldiers. During non-war times, the prefecture soldiers would be used to eliminate bandits, and during times of war, they would have to join the imperial army. The city lord of Silver Fir City, Hua Tian, had trained a total of nearly 2,000 prefecture soldiers. This was already the limit of this small city with a population of 50,000. The drill ground wasn't big, but it was already overcrowded with citizens who had come to watch the contest. As for the nobles within the city, they had been arranged to sit in the prominent stands. Lin Muyu looked into the distance. As expected, Tang Xiaoxi and Chu Chu were both sitting in the master's seats with Hua Tian. The format of the contest was very simple. Challenge. Moreover, only the top 10 alchemy halls of the medicinal ceremony had the right to send someone to challenge. The young city lord, Hua Wan, was holding a thin sword and wearing a white robe as he stood on the arena. He was the recipient of the special pardon order from the previous medicinal ceremony, and this time, he was the arena lord. His face was filled with pride as he looked at the crowd below the arena. The corner of his mouth rose as he smiled and said, "This junior is Hua Wan, and I am fortunate enough to be the holder of the special pardon order from the previous medicinal ceremony. I am here to welcome the challenges of the young alchemists. Whoever can defeat me will be able to take away the special pardon order from my hands." As soon as he finished speaking, a young man in blue clothes jumped onto the arena with an iron sword in hand. His body was light, and it seemed that his cultivation wasn't low. He cupped his fists and smiled. "Sir Hua, I am Dong Luan of the Azure Sky Medicine Shop. Please enlighten me." Hua Wan smiled, "So it's Dong Luan. Come." He put his hands behind his back and actually carried his sword on his back. He waved his left hand lightly, and a silver shield of air appeared in his palm. He dared to fight his opponent without using a weapon? Luo Kai was shocked. Isn't this young city lord a little too arrogant? He's challenging Dong Luan barehanded? I heard that Dong Luan is already a rank 24 battle spirit. Wang Ying sneered, "Don't you see the air shield in Hua Wan's left hand? He can already condense an air shield. This means that he's already broken through rank 29 and stepped into the first level of the Earth realm." What? Luo Kai couldn't help but click his tongue. What a terrifying Hua Wan. Who in the younger generation of Kathia City can be his match? On the arena, Dong Luan had already made his move. With a shout, the image of a golden arrow appeared on his blade and shot forward. Wang Ying immediately cried out in surprise, "Grade 8 martial spirit, cloud-piercing arrow." The speed of the cloud-piercing arrow was very fast, but it was not faster than Hua Wan's speed. The chi shield in his left palm abruptly met the cloud-piercing arrow, forcibly smashing it into pieces. Hua Wan's palms had already been trained to the point where they were almost impervious to swords and spears. Just like that, he used his bare hands to block the opponent's iron sword. With a "keng" sound, sparks splashed out. Then, with one hand, he used his middle finger to clamp down on Dong Luan's iron sword. Hua! Under the collision of air currents, Dong Luan's cultivation was far inferior to his opponent's. He was pushed back repeatedly, but Hua Wan didn't show any mercy and stabbed the broken sword into Dong Luan's shoulder. Blood splattered everywhere as Dong Luan retreated a dozen steps. He fell to one knee and panted heavily, I lost." In just a single exchange, Dong Luan had lost. Hua Wan's tyrannical aura was so overwhelming that Wang Ying, Luo Kai, and the other 100 spirits apothecary disciples were all dumbfounded. They almost didn't dare to breathe too loudly. To them, Hua Wan was an expert that they couldn't challenge, an existence that they couldn't even look at. Chu Yao bit her lip, her shoulders trembling slightly. Perhaps it was because of Hua Wan's strength, or perhaps because he was too cruel. "Sister Chu Yao, are you all right?" Lin Muyu asked in concern. "I'm fine." Hua Wan was too ruthless. Yeah, in the end, a few people who went up to challenge Hua Wan all failed. One of them had his arm pierced, and another had his leg broken by Hua Wan's Thunder Hammer martial spirit. In any case, none of the losers came out unscathed. This seemed to make Hua Wan, who was on the stage, even more proud. He had already regarded this battle for the special pardon order as an enjoyment. On the side, a mercenary wearing broken armor raised the corner of his mouth and sneered, "I heard that City Lord Hua Tian spent a lot of money to buy a 3,000-year-old Thunder Spirit Stone from a wandering merchant 2 days ago. It seems that the young City Lord has already refined the power of the Spirit Stone. Otherwise, how could he have broken through to the first layer of the Earth realm, level 33, so quickly?" When he said level 33, Lin Muyu clearly saw a trace of surprise flash across Chu Yao's face. The disparity was too great. Chu Yao was level 21, but Hua Wan was already level 33. Chapter 25. Princess Shi, what do you think of the young city lord's cultivation? Chu Chu took a sip of tea and asked with a smile. Tang Xiaoxi lay on the table in boredom and looked at the arena in the distance. The strength of his martial soul isn't bad. It's not bad for a mere 6th grade thunder hammer to cultivate to this level. It's just that his attacks are too cruel. Off to the side, Hua Tian's facial muscles twitched. Tang Xiaoxi didn't care about the city lord's feelings at all. Hua Tian was the same as his son, a 6th grade thunder hammer. Tang Xiaoxi's words were an insult to the thunder hammer, but Tang Xiaoxi had a 2nd grade fire fox martial soul. This left Hua Tian speechless. Moreover, her identity was too illustrious. He couldn't afford to offend her. Duke of Zhonglan's Qihai city was one of the 7 great cities of the empire. It had a population of nearly 1 million, far greater than a small city like Silver Fir City. Tanglan also controlled dozens of cities outside of Qihai City. Whether it was power or status, he was far above Hua Tian. After defeating 12 opponents in a row, the complacency on Hua Wan's face grew thicker. Suddenly, he turned around and walked to the edge of the martial stage. He pointed at Lin Muyu and said, "Lin Muyu, you lowly commoner. After cultivating for 3 days, it's time for you to challenge me, right?" Lin Muyu clenched her teeth. "Fine." But at this moment, Chu Yao suddenly pressed down on Lin Muyu's shoulder. You're not his match. Let Sister Chu Yao go up first." Wait, before Lin Muyu could finish speaking, Chu Yao suddenly leaped onto the arena. She held 2 daggers in her hands and looked at Hua Wan with hostility. "Come." Hua Wan couldn't help but laugh loudly. His lustful eyes swept over Chu Yao's chest and bottom. "I was wondering who it was. So it's Chu Yao. What, you can't wait to become my 7th concubine? Shameless." Chu Yao shouted and activated her purple marten martial spirit. Adding it to her 2 daggers, she suddenly rushed forward. Her daggers quickly waved 3 times. Hua Wan's calmness far surpassed Chu Yao's imagination. Her thin sword was like a willow branch in the spring wind, completely dispersing the 3 attacks. With an explosive roar, the thunder hammer martial spirit appeared on her blade. Bang! Sparks flew. Chu Yao raised her daggers in front of her chest to block her opponent's attack, but she was forced back several steps. The disparity in strength was too great. The lightning hammer's ferocious energy wreaked havoc on her body. In the end, she couldn't hold on any longer and spat out a mouthful of blood. "Little beauty, I really can't bear to hurt you. Hurry up and go down, you're not my match. Let that useless Lin Muyu come up, I want to teach him a good lesson." Hua Wan was still thinking about the time when Lin Muyu used the vines of the iron pear flower to slap his face. Chu Yao was indignant. She slowly straightened her body and continued to strengthen her daggers with her purple marten martial soul. Her eyes were filled with hatred. "Sister Chu Yao, come down," Lin Muyu ordered loudly. Chu Feng also shouted, "Yao, come down quickly. You're no match for him." However, Chu Yao was a very stubborn and competitive woman. Enduring the sharp pain, she suddenly slid forward and attacked her opponent again. As the dagger swept past with a hua-la sound, her martial spirit actually exerted all its strength in an instant. The purple marten chirped as it pounced towards Hua Wan's arm. With a pu-cheet sound, it bit the arm, causing blood to spurt out. Hua Wan was in so much pain that her face was starting to contort. She roared, "I gave you face, but you don't want it." As he spoke, he raised his left arm, and the vast thunder hammer martial spirit, which was filled with power, heavily fell on Chu Yao's chest. Bang! The purple marten's radiance scattered, and Chu Yao was seriously injured, and fell back several meters. "Die!" Hua Wan shouted in a low voice. Almost all the power in his body was concentrated on the long sword. The blade made a wang-wang sound, and his true energy was vast and mighty. As long as this attack landed, a big hole would inevitably appear in Chu Yao's chest. So, Just as Chu Yao was about to close her eyes, a figure suddenly flashed in front of her. It was a familiar figure, and a familiar voice. Hua Wan, if you have any problems, come at me. Lin Muyu opened her palm, and the power of her martial spirit whistled out. The wall of the gourd appeared in front of her chest, and she quickly added the power of the mysterious tortoise shell. How could Hua Wan care so much? The blade was filled with power, and he fiercely stabbed down. Bang! A loud sound rang out, and the battle arena was stirred up into the air. Lin Muyu took 3 steps back, and lightly bumped into Chu Yao's chest. However, Hua Wan was even worse off. His arm was numb from the impact, and he looked at the sharp sword in his hand in disbelief. How is this possible? He could not believe that his attack with all his strength was blocked by Lin Muyu. Could it be some kind of sorcery? You. Chu Yao looked at Lin Muyu's back in shock. At this moment, she only felt that the figure of the man in front of her was constantly growing, and he could completely protect her. Lin Muyu turned around and smiled. Sister Chu Yao, quickly get off the stage. You have already lost. The next battle belongs to me and Hua Wan. Okay. She was an obedient girl, and she quickly slid down the stage. Chu Feng quickly checked her injuries. On the stage, there were only 2 men left. Hua Wan was dressed in luxurious clothes, and it formed a strong contrast with Lin Muyu's light green clothes. The violence and hatred on his face also formed a great contrast with Lin Muyu's calmness. You lowly commoner. Hua Wan's hatred had already flowed from his words. He quickly infused the long sword in his hand with his true energy, and his left hand raised 3 fingers. He growled, 3 moves. I only need 3 moves to make you kneel on the ground and call me grandpa. What if I don't lose in 3 moves? Lin Muyu said. Then I'll call you grandpa. Hua Wan angrily rebuked. No, why would I want a grandson like you? Lin Muyu's words caused the surrounding commoners to roar with laughter. Most of the spectators were born as commoners, but they did not dare to speak up against people like Hua Wan. No one was like Lin Muyu, openly provoking the nobles. Then what do you want? If you can't kill me in 3 moves, you give me 300 Jin coins. How about that? Lin Muyu said with a smile, 300 Jin coins? Hua Wan frowned. Although he was the city lord, 300 Jin coins was not a small sum. However, since he'd already made his offer, he had no choice but to accept it. Thus, he braced himself and said, fine, if I lose, I'll give you 300 Jin coins. If I win, I'll take your worthless life. Lin Muyu clapped her hands. Deal. Hua Wan was truly enraged by now. He had summoned his thunder hammer to its fullest extent, and bolts of lightning crackled across his sword. He cultivated a battle technique based on the laws of thunder, a technique he had inherited from his father. It was called the thunder art, and when used in tandem with his thunder hammer, he was able to bring out his absolute strength to the limit. This was also the reason why the Hua family was able to stand tall in Silver Fir City for so long. Attract lightning. With a shout, Hua Wan's figure flashed forward, his blade trailing a streak of lightning. Lin Muyu could see it clearly. Hua Wan was stronger than her, but not by much. She wouldn't be at a disadvantage if she fought him head-on, but it wasn't a smart move. Suddenly, Lin Muyu used falling star steps to flash to the other side, causing Hua Wan's sword to miss. Lin Muyu moved swiftly and attacked from the side. Her steel sword glowed with the same lightning, but it was faster and more effective. A silent lightning strike landed directly on Hua Wan's right leg. Pfft! Blood instantly gushed out, and Hua Wan's protective aura collapsed. A wound about 10 centimeters long appeared on his leg. Bastard! He cursed angrily, his strength exploding as he shouted, Thunder Dance! Bolts of lightning spread in all directions. Hua Wan was going all out. He already knew his weakness. He had been too focused on his strength, so he had neglected his speed. Lin Muyu's strange footwork was his nemesis. He had thought that he would definitely win, but Lin Muyu had easily dodged his attack. If this continued, his next attack would also be dodged. Thunder Dance was a battle skill that allowed one to use the power of lightning to form a net attack. It was also a skill that he was proud of for 6 years. In this world, there were only 3 people who could perfectly use Thunder Dance, and he was one of them. Bolts of lightning wreaked havoc around Hua Wan's body. The sword in his hand trembled slightly, almost bursting with power. He suddenly leaped up, raised his sword with the force of a mountain, and slashed at Lin Muyu's head. This time, with the area of effect of Thunder Dance, Lin Muyu wouldn't be able to dodge it even if she wanted to. But Lin Muyu didn't plan on dodging. She might be able to dodge it now, but she wouldn't be able to dodge it forever. Holding the sword in front of his chest, he quickly summoned his martial spirit. The green gourd emerged from his body, transforming into a giant gourd that protected him from Thunder Dance. At the same time, he gritted his teeth and shouted, "Black tortoise shell." Bolts of flames flew into the air, condensing into a fiery red black tortoise shell that appeared on the walls of the gourd. The black tortoise shell was made of pure fire energy, and was a non-conductive material. Naturally, it could perfectly defend against his opponent's attack. Hua Wan's heart trembled when he saw the fiery red black tortoise shell again, but he still slashed down with his sword. He hated this kid for making a fool of himself in front of so many citizens of Kathia City. He hated Lin Muyu for making a fool of him in front of his father. Given his father's strictness, if he lost, his days in the future wouldn't be easy. Pung! Hua Wan's Thunder Dance completely shattered against the walls of the gourd. The fact that it hadn't been able to break through the defense of the black tortoise shell showed just how tough it was. Just when the Thunder Dance was about to run out of energy, Lin Muyu abruptly rushed forward and rammed her elbow into Hua Wan's chin. At the same time, she raised her right leg and slammed it into his lower abdomen. The young city lord was sent flying like a kite with its string cut, but this wasn't enough to defeat him. Lin Muyu didn't want to waste any more time with him, and with a shout, she landed on the ground as if she were standing on a stake. Her left fist swung out in an arc, whistling through the air as she punched out with about 50% of her strength. Demon Sound Fist. Bang! A muffled sound rang through the air as Hua Wan fell limply to the ground. He didn't even make a sound. He'd actually been knocked unconscious. Every dragon had a reverse scale, and those who touched it would be enraged. This was the result of injuring Chu Yao. Chapter 26. Young Castellan Hua Wan was defeated within 3 moves. There was a dead silence. City Governor Hua Tian stood up, clenching his fists and staring at his beloved son, who had fainted in the arena. He really won. Tang Xiaoxi also stood up and said with a smile, "Chu Chu, your teachings can really change a person." Chu Chu didn't respond. He knew that the boy's rapid progress had something to do with himself, so he said, "That's because he practiced hard." After a full 2 minutes, cheers finally broke out around the ring. Everyone knew that Lin Muyu was a commoner. A commoner without a mentor was able to defeat the young city lord, Hua Wan. Everyone could not believe the scene before their eyes, but when they thought of the arrogant young city lord, this group of people felt happy from the bottom of their hearts. City Governor Hua Tian, it's time to announce it. Chu Chu said. It seemed that if he didn't say it, Hua Tian wouldn't give the special pardon to Lin Muyu. No hurry. Let's wait and see if there are any challengers. Okay. After waiting for another hour, no one was willing to challenge Lin Muyu. Tang Xiaoxi also urged, City Governor Hua, hurry up and announce it. I have to hurry back to Lanyan City. Yes, Your Highness. Hua Tian was straightforward. He leaped down from the audience stand, took out the special pardon token from Hua Wan's waist, and respectfully walked onto the stage with the special pardon token in his hands. He said in a clear voice, Lin Muyu, the special pardon token is a sacred object issued by the Department of Spiritual Medicine of our empire. It's the most precious treasure in the field of medicine refinement. I hope you can carry forward the spirit of us alchemists who practice medicine for the sake of others, and don't waste this special pardon token. Thank you, city governor. Lin Muyu took the pardon and thanked him. Hua Tian's eyes were full of admiration. He patted Lin Muyu's shoulder and said with a smile, "You have such extraordinary cultivation at such a young age. You are really not simple. I hope you will continue to work hard and become a great medicine king or even medicine god. You will make the whole Silver Fir City and even the whole empire proud of you." Thank you. After exchanging some pleasantries, Hua Tian ordered the guards to take the unconscious Hua Wan away and wake him up with the fragrance of the peace god flower. When Lin Muyu walked off the stage, Chu Feng, Chu Yao, Luo Kai, and the rest of the people from the 100 Spirits medicine shop congratulated her. Especially Chu Yao, she was even happier than if she had won the special pardon. When Lin Muyu looked up, he found that Chu Chu and Tang Xiaoxi had already disappeared from the spectators' stand. After dealing with the crowd's congratulations, he walked out of the city governor's mansion and didn't see Tang Xiaoxi. He asked the guard beside him, "Where are Princess Shi and Chu Chu?" "They've already left." The guard said with a smile, "Congratulations, kid. You actually defeated the young city governor. You're really young and promising." "They've already left." Lin Muyu felt a bit lonely. He looked at the empty street. Tang Xiaoxi seemed to be intentionally avoiding him. She didn't even want to see him one last time. Just when he was feeling lost, the sound of hooves suddenly came from the distance. A guard with the purple Yinghua Empire's emblem on his chest dismounted. He held a white handkerchief in his hand and said, "Lin Muyu." "Yes, you are. I'm Princess Shi's guard. Have you forgotten about me?" He respectfully held the handkerchief with both hands and said, "Princess Shi left in a hurry and ordered me to give this to you." "This is?" When he opened the handkerchief, he saw a fiery red iron token with a simple, Tang, character carved on it. The Tang Sex iron token. The guard was slightly surprised and said, "I didn't expect the princess to give you the Tang Sex iron token that she always carries with her. There are only 3 of them in the whole world." Lin Muyu held the heavy token and felt a little sad. Tang Xiaoxi must have put in a lot of effort to give this token to him. Did she leave any words behind? "Yes." The guard said in a low voice, "She said that if you encounter any difficulties one day, you can hold the Tang Sex iron token and look for her in Lanyan City. If she's not in the imperial capital, she must be in Qihai City. You can find her there." "Many thanks." Lin Muyu bowed. The guard performed an imperial military salute, bowing with his left hand clenched into a fist and his right palm across his chest. He was a soldier. Luo Kai's voice came from behind at this time. Why are you out here?" "The city lord is looking for you. He said that there will be a banquet tonight at the city lord's manor, inviting all the elites of the city's pill refinement world. You and Yao are both invited." I'll be right there." Lin Muyu tucked the Tang Sect iron medallion into her bosom. This simple and unadorned iron medallion actually emitted a faint warmth, as if it still carried Tang Xiaoxi's body warmth. Lin Muyu's imagination ran wild. Could it be the bodyguard's body warmth? Her mind was in a mess. Outside the city, Tang Xiaoxi looked back at Kathaya City. Chu Chu didn't expose her, saying, "Princess, if it's possible, forget about him." Tang Xiaoxi blushed. Why would Chu say such a thing? There's a demon sleeping in that brat's body. Tang Xiaoxi suddenly stood there, not knowing what to say in response. The city lord's manor was still brightly lit after sunset. There were about 40 people attending the banquet. Lin Muyu, Chu Yao, and Chu Feng were among them. Wang Ying, Luo Kai, and the others were not invited. During the banquet, Hua Wan's arm was bandaged in 2 places. From time to time, he would shoot a burning gaze at Lin Muyu as if he wanted to kill her. City Lord Hua Tian, on the other hand, was much more magnanimous. After a toast, he said, "Let me tell everyone a piece of good news." "What news, City Lord?" the crowd asked. Hua Tian cleared his throat and said, "Just 2 hours ago, I received a letter from the Imperial Capital's Spirit Medicine Division. This year, we will be selecting a highly respected medicine refiner from Kathia City to join the Spirit Medicine Division and assume the position of an elder." "Heavens!" an old alchemist exclaimed in shock. "Join the Spirit Medicine Department? This is a great honor. I wonder which alchemist master would have such an honor." Hua Tian said, "Everyone can recommend yourselves. Sages can join the Spirit Medicine Department. There is only one requirement, and that is that they must be at least a Grand Master alchemist and be able to refine rank 6 medicines." The old alchemist nodded. "I see. Unfortunately, this old man is too old. I'm afraid I won't be able to go that far." Hua Tian smiled. "Old Mr. Wang, do you have a candidate to recommend?" The old alchemist couldn't help but smile, saying, "This old man recommends Elder Chu of the 100 Spirits Medicine Shop. Elder Chu has spent his entire life studying alchemy, and he recently refined rank 6 medicines. He is a late bloomer, and his disciple, Lin Muyu, has even surpassed him and obtained a special pardon. Therefore, Elder Chu is the most suitable elder for the Spirit Medicine Department. What do you think, City Lord?" Hua Tian thought for a moment. "What do you think, Elder Chu?" Chu Feng was stunned, saying, "My granddaughter, Chu Yao, and a group of disciples are all in Silver First City. This old man naturally wants to go to the Spirit Medicine Department, but I can't let go of these disciples in Silver First City." Hua Tian laughed. "Elder Chu, you worry too much. Lin Muyu and Chu Yao are the cream of the crop of the new generation in Silver First City. I've already decided to send them to the Spirit Medicine Department to further their studies. All of their food and lodging will be provided by the treasury of Silver First City. You don't need to worry too much, Elder Chu. As long as I, Hua Tian, am in Silver First City, I won't let anything happen to them." Chu Feng had spent his entire life studying alchemy, and now he had the opportunity to enter the Spirit Medicine Department, the holy temple of the alchemy world. How could he not be happy? He couldn't decide what to do for a moment. "Grandpa, don't worry. I can take good care of you," Chu Yao said with a smile. Lin Muyu also smiled. "Grandpa, don't worry. I'll take good care of Sister Chu Yao. You can go to the Spirit Medicine Department without worry. That's where you belong." Finally, Chu Feng made his decision. He cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, City Lord, for your guidance." Hua Tian nodded. Go back and pack your things tonight. I'll invite General Ning from Silver First City's garrison to escort you to the imperial capital. I'll make sure you're safe on the way." Chu Feng, "Thank you, my lord." That night, Chu Yao helped her grandfather pack his luggage. While doing so, she muttered, "Grandpa's old pipe, oh, I can't bring it for him. He's so old, he shouldn't smoke anymore. His cough hasn't gotten better. Here. Grandpa's pulse opening diagram. Also, Grandpa's knee pads. He broke his leg while climbing the mountain, and it hurts when it rains. He needs this, Anne." Lin Muyu also helped with the packing. After a long while, Chu Feng finally appeared. He came out of the bedroom with a heavy iron cabinet in his arms. He called softly, "Yao, you, come here." The two juniors sat opposite him with solemn expressions. Chu Feng couldn't help but smile. "Grandpa will be leaving for the imperial capital tomorrow. I don't know when I'll be back. This 100 Spirits Medicine Hall is the blood, sweat, and tears of several generations of the Chu family. From now on, I'll hand it over to you too. This is the money the medicine hall has accumulated over the years. It's not a lot, just 30 or so gold coins. You'll have to be frugal." Chu Feng said, "Originally, I was planning to use this money to buy Yao's dowry. But now, this old man has to go to Lanyan City alone." Chu Yao's heart ached. She rolled her eyes. "Grandpa, don't say any more. Ya doesn't want to get married. What nonsense are you talking about?" Chu Feng said with a smile, "How can you not get married? Your parents are watching from the heavens. Ever since there's been no news of your brother, our Chu family has been relying on you alone." Chu Yao's face turned red. "Grandpa, Don't say any more. Lin Muyu laughed inwardly and pretended not to hear anything. Late at night, Chu Feng's grandpa had gone to bed early. Lin Muyu and Chu Yao were picking medicinal herbs in the yard. Grandpa is about to go to the spirit medicine hall. What should we do in the future? Do you have any plans? Chu Yao suddenly asked. Sister Chu Yao, do you want to enter the spirit medicine hall in Kathaya City to cultivate? As far as I know, the spirit medicine hall is located in the city lord's manor. Even the guards there are from the city lord's manor. A sharp light shot out of Lin Muyu's eyes. Although the city lord looks like a good person, his son Hua Wan won't let this matter rest. Chapter 27. I still want to enter Kathaya City's Spirit Herb Division. Chu Yao bit her red lips, and her gaze was very firm. If I don't go to the Spiritual Medicine Division, then the 100 Spirits Medicine Store's business will still be steady. Moreover, Grandpa has already gone to the Imperial Capital's Spiritual Medicine Division. I don't want to disappoint Grandpa. All right then, I will protect you. Yes. The next morning, they arrived at the Spirit Medicine Department. The person in charge of receiving them was a man in his 50s. He was dressed in a black robe, and he held a bottle of medicine in his hand. With a smile, he said, Lin Muyu, Chu Yao, you're finally here. My name is Lu Bin, and I'm responsible for leading you into the Spiritual Medicine Department. Lin Muyu's name had spread far and wide in Silver Fir City. She and Chu Yao had both received an invitation from the Spirit Medicine Division. This was a rare honor for the younger generation of alchemists. Lu Bin glanced at Chu Yao as he led the way. It's been many years since such a young alchemist has entered the Spirit Medicine Division. What a rare sight. The Spirit Medicine Division's workshops are divided into the Herb Gathering Workshop, the Herb Selection Workshop, and the Medicine Refinery Workshop. You two have been assigned to work in the Medicine Refinery Workshop. You'll be in charge of refining and smelting medicine. Your workload isn't too great. You only need to refine 40 bottles of medicine above level 3 every day. Chu Yao nodded and smiled. Got it. Thank you, Uncle Lu. There's no need to thank me. I'll show you the rooms and the workshop. All right. Entering the alchemy workshop, there were already more than 30 alchemists working there. From the Grand Master Alchemist to the Master Alchemist, their main products were gold sore medicine, healing medicine, stone skin medicine, and other medicines used in battle. When Lin Muyu and Chu Yao, the two young juniors, entered the workshop, they caused a wave of hissing sounds. These alchemists focused on alchemy and did not pay attention to what was happening outside. They did not even know who Lin Muyu was. Lin Muyu. An alchemist pointed at the workbench on the side and said, You're an alchemist, right? I have some earth dragon grass and blood ginseng here. Can you help me refine them? I want to refine some level 4 healing potions. Lin Muyu smiled gently. There's no need for that. I want to finish today's work after I refine 40 bottles of stone skin potion. What? Stone skin elixir? Apothecary frowned. You have the ability to refine the black iron wood's medicinal essence? Lin Muyu didn't say anything else. She just walked over and picked up a black iron tree that was about a meter tall. Then, she opened her hand, and pure true qi surged. The essence condensing hand quickly peeled off the outer shell of the black iron tree. Not long after, tiny grains of the black iron tree's medicinal essence slowly rose up, and fell into the medicine tray under his guidance. The entire process didn't even take 10 minutes. Lin Muyu herself was slightly surprised. Presumably, it was because of the increase in her cultivation that the efficiency of the essence condensing hand had also greatly increased. Meanwhile, the surrounding group of alchemists were all stunned. No one could have imagined that such a young boy could actually refine the black iron tree's medicinal essence. Not long after, 40 bottles of stone skin potion were freshly made. Elder Lu. The previous apothecary pointed at Lin Muyu with a face full of indignation. This boy named Lin Muyu spent less than an hour to refine 40 bottles of stone skin potion. He's obviously cutting corners. I suspect that his potion isn't even grade 7. This will ruin the reputation of our spirit medicine department. These low-grade potions are simply harmful to the military. Lu Bin had always known that the alchemists in the medicine refinery were always fighting openly and covertly. At the same time, he also knew of Lin Muyu's abilities. He raised his eyebrows. Is that so? Apothecary Wang, go and test the grade of these stone skin potions. What do you think? Yes. Apothecary Wang probed a bottle of stone skin potion with his identification stick. In the next moment, his jaw dropped. How can this be a grade 1 medicine? Lu Bin snorted coldly. As the saying goes, the younger generation will surpass the older. Apothecary Wang, you should learn more from Lin Muyu. Yes, Elder Lu. After Lin Muyu finished her work, she went to Chu Yao's workbench. She saw Chu Yao working hard at refining level 4 healing potions. It was obvious that Chu Yao had also benefited a lot from the God of Medicine's Bible. She was much more adept at refining the potions. The formula was also very scientific. In about an hour, she had refined 47 bottles of healing potions. After the appraiser's verification, they were all between grade 6 and grade 3. This slightly surprised Lin Muyu. It seemed that she had underestimated Sister Chu Yao. The two's residence was very close to the mayor's palace. 10 minutes later, they stopped in front of a house. We're here, Lu Bin said. Chu Yao was stunned. She stuck out her tongue and asked with a smile, did we come to the wrong place? We're just small alchemists. This is the residence of the mayor's palace, right? Lu Bin smiled faintly. City Lord Huatian is not only the mayor, but also the Grand Elder of Silver Fir City's Spirit Medicine Department. Lin Muyu is widely recognized as a rare talent in the alchemy world. That's why I've arranged such a special residence for you. Please don't be shy. Otherwise, you'll disappoint the mayor. Chu Yao wanted to say more, but Lin Muyu knew that it was useless to say more. She said, Sister Chu Yao, since you're already here, let's take things as they come. It's not a bad place to live. Then, when night fell, the servants delivered a sumptuous meal. After eating, Chu Yao went back to her room to practice the art of silver needles. Her room was separated from Lin Muyu's by the courtyard. It was not far, but not close either. Lin Muyu, on the other hand, stood in the courtyard and circulated her true chi again and again to use Thunderstrike and Demon Sound Fist. At the same time, she continued to cultivate and strengthen her gourd. When the night grew darker, she took out 4 flying knives and practiced hidden weapons. He knew that he wasn't strong enough. When facing a stronger opponent, he had to use extreme methods, and hidden weapons were one of them. Undercurrents were surging in the city lord's palace. Who knew how many more dangers were waiting for him? Swoosh! The flying knife suddenly flew out, making a fierce sound in the air. Then, sparks flew everywhere. It hit the rock of the artificial mountain and went deep, but it didn't fly back. Lin Muyu frowned. The flying knife's biggest weakness wasn't its trajectory, but once it hit the target, it might not come back after the impact. What method could she use to freely control the flying knife? After thinking for a long time, she suddenly had an idea. The flying knife's trajectory depended on the force and air fluctuations. Wasn't her Demon Sound Fist a method that could change the flow of air? Perhaps, the Demon Sound Fist could be combined with hidden weapons. Thinking of this, she immediately began to practice. The first flying knife flew out, and the wind from the fist trembled. The power of the Demon Sound Fist burst out in the air, but it didn't seem to have an obvious effect. The flying knife was struck down because the angle and strength were not enough. After repeated attempts and hundreds of demon sonorous fist strikes, a pang sound rang out in the air, and the flying dagger's trajectory changed. It flew in the opposite direction at the same speed and pierced into the stone wall. This small success made Lin Muyu extremely happy. The feasibility of using Demon's sonorous fist with hidden weapons and flying daggers had been proven. Standing proudly in the cold courtyard, Lin Muyu's figure looked even more handsome. He closed his eyes, and his whole body entered a state of clarity. He sensed the flying knife's trajectory and only relied on his ears to determine the position. Suddenly, he punched out. The Demon's sound fist vibrated, and the flying knife changed direction and flew faster. Then, he punched out again, and the flying knife's trajectory was changed again. He seemed to have figured out the relationship between the flying knife's trajectory and the Demon's sound fist's force, angle, and timing. Just as he was immersed in cultivation, he suddenly heard a soft clapping in the distance. A woman's voice came from the courtyard door. Good martial arts. As expected of the person who defeated the young city lord in 3 moves. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and saw a woman dressed in red standing there. Her clothes were very simple, as thin as muslin, accentuating her exquisite and curvaceous figure. Furthermore, as she leaned lightly against the door, she looked even more enchanting and enchanting. You are? My name is Xiang Xiang. She walked forward with a smile. Her steps were as nimble as a cat's. Her beautiful eyes stared straight at Lin Muyu as she smiled and said, I am the maidservant of the Castellan Manor. I was ordered by the young Castellan to serve you. Lin Muyu frowned and felt a bit of disgust. Go back and tell Hua-Wan that I don't need her. Is that so? Xiang Xiang's pair of beautiful eyes seemed to be able to read people's minds. She said, the night is long and it is hard to sleep alone. Does young master really not need a woman to sleep beside your pillow? Oh, it must be that woman called Chu Yao, right? Unfortunately, she is young master's senior sister. She probably can't serve beside your bed, right? As she said this, Xiang Xiang walked to the door and pushed it open. She said, no matter what happens to young master, I must sleep on your bed tonight. She looked back and her face was slightly dark. Otherwise, I can't imagine the consequences. What did this mean? Lin Muyu was stunned. Was this the legendary forcing yourself on the bow? Wasn't this the opposite? At least she should be the one taking the initiative, right? But in fact, this Xiang Xiang, whether it was her figure or her looks, were top-notch. Young city master Hua-Wan was indeed an expert in choosing women. This point must be admitted. Xiang Xiang leaned on the door and smiled sweetly. Young master, what is the name of your flying dagger? It doesn't have a name, it's just a hidden weapon. Oh, then what is the name of your skill that can explode through the air? Demon's sound fist. Hee hee. Xiang Xiang pursed her lips and smiled. Although I don't know much about martial arts, I can see that you are using the Demon's sound fist to change the trajectory of the flying dagger. This way, you can kill people without leaving a trace, right? Yes. Lin Muyu smiled. Xiang Xiang, you were sent by Hua-Wan to spy on me, right? Even if you understand my martial arts, it's useless. I can still easily defeat Hua-Wan. Xiang Xiang lightly raised one of her slender snow-white legs and stroked her knee as she said with a smile, young master is thinking too much. Xiang Xiang is only here to serve young master in bed. As for cultivating, I'm not interested. She lightly nodded and said, if I practiced martial arts, I wouldn't be in this situation. Young master, don't you think so? Of course, Lin Muyu didn't believe her words. He coldly snorted and continued to practice the flying dagger and demon sound fist. Xiang Xiang watched for a while and suddenly yawned. She smiled, young master, it's late. Xiang Xiang is going to bed. This servant will wait for you on the bed. I won't wear any clothes. If you're tired, come rest. I'll take good care of you. Lin Muyu didn't respond. Xiang Xiang was indeed a beauty, but this was the best way to train his mind. Xiang Xiang cutely yawned again and waved her hand. Young master, this servant is going to sleep. Remember to wake me up when you arrive. Also, since your flying dagger doesn't have a name, why don't I give it a name? The flying dagger controlled by the Demon Sound Fist should be called Demon Sound Blade. Demon Sound Blade? Lin Muyu was slightly startled. What a good name. When he looked again, Xiang Xiang had already gracefully walked to the bed. Chapter 28. Deep into the night, Lin Muyu created the first hidden weapon technique for the magic sonar saber. It was actually very simple. He used the wind and thunder fist force to control the direction of the magic sonar saber. The 4 flying daggers combined to form a spiral of 4 sharp blades. Only a low whistling sound could be heard as they flew in the air. Lin Muyu was indeed an extremely intelligent person. He could already completely control the direction of the magic sonar saber with the magic sonar fist. The only thing he lacked was actual combat. After all, the magic sonar saber was a killing technique. Phew, Tang Wulin took a deep breath. Using the demonic sonorous fist non-stop had drained most of the true qi in his body, and his green gourd was like a spring absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth to replenish his true qi. This was probably what Chu Chu and the others meant when they said that those without a martial soul weren't suited for cultivation. If they didn't even have a martial soul, then their recovery speed would be far inferior to others. Tang Wulin's martial soul, the green gourd, was already a grade 10 martial soul, yet it was able to recover so quickly. What about Tang Xiaoxi's fire fox? Wouldn't it be able to recover 100% of its strength in an hour or two? But now, Lin Muyu had a headache about the woman in the room. Xiang Xiang was indeed a feast for the eyes, but she was sent by Hua Wan or Hua Tian to serve him. This kind of treatment was like that of a distinguished guest in the Castellan's mansion. But he couldn't stand it. With Xiang Xiang here, all his actions could be seen through by Hua Wan. This was not the result he wanted. He braced himself and entered the room. He divided the demon noise blade into 4 flying knives and put them into the knife bag. He stretched his arms and looked at the bed. Xiang Xiang was lying on her side. Her body was only covered by a thin layer of gauze. The moonlight shone on her body, making her look exceptionally beautiful. Forget it, I'll sleep on the bench, he sighed inwardly and walked to a short and narrow bench. Young master. Xiang Xiang actually didn't fall asleep. She raised her head to look at him and said, I remember Xiang Xiang and young master said that if young master didn't touch me today, Xiang Xiang would definitely suffer a beating. Beating would be a light punishment, perhaps I would even suffer humiliation from the servants. Humiliated by the servants? Xiang Xiang is just a maid. A smile of success flashed across her face. Xiang Xiang smiled and said, Master has many kinds of punishments for the maids. One is to beat them, and another is to let the maids be enjoyed by the servants. Those servants can wantonly play with the maids' bodies. Does young master want Xiang Xiang to fall to that point? Lin Muyu naturally didn't believe him. She couldn't help but snicker. Then what do you want me to do? Let Xiang Xiang serve you in bed. This is my only mission. No need, I'm used to sleeping alone. Lin Muyu knew that this Xiang Xiang was a beautiful rose. Once she touched her, she would definitely be pricked by the thorns of the rose. Moreover, this was the city lord's mansion, not a place of romance. Chu Yao was less than 50 meters away from her. She shouldn't even think about this kind of thing. However, the more he didn't want to think about it, the worse the situation became. Xiang Xiang suddenly stood up. Her dress had already been taken off, only a thin layer of muslin was draped over her. Her slim figure walked over, her pair of jade peaks trembling slightly in front of her chest, her slender snow-white legs stepped on the carpet step by step. She sat down beside Lin Muyu, her body leaning against his. Immediately, a delicate fragrance wafted into Lin Muyu's nose, causing him to feel a little suffocated. How could a young and vigorous 20-year-old like him resist this kind of temptation? Young master. Xiang Xiang's voice carried a hint of bitterness as she said, Xiang Xiang knows that the only woman in your heart is your senior sister, Chu Yao. Xiang Xiang doesn't ask young master to do anything for me. I only ask young master to give me physical pleasure. Is this not possible? If you don't say it and I don't say it, then everything will be fine. Xiang Xiang also knows that young master dislikes my body, but Xiang Xiang had no choice. I was sold into the city lord's mansion at the age of 16 and my first time was taken by the young city lord that night. My life doesn't belong to me, so I have no other choice but to meekly accept it. Lin Muyu turned around and left. He stood under the moonlight and looked at her. This woman was indeed as beautiful as water and bright as the moon. He lightly said, "No one's life doesn't belong to them. You are the same." Xiang Xiang originally wanted to hug him, but in the end, her hands grabbed nothing but air. Her arms were raised there, she could not help but laugh coldly and said, "Lin Muyu, you look down on me, don't you?" "No, I don't." "Then why are you humiliating me like this?" Her face was flushed with anger, and she said, "That's right, Xiang Xiang, am a slut who can be used by anyone. Everything I do is to survive, but what about you? You humiliate me like this, do you really want me to become a plaything for those servants to vent their lust on?" "I don't." Lin Muyu faintly looked at her and said word by word, "I don't care what your goal is, but you have suffered enough humiliation. Huawan can wantonly occupy your body and humiliate you, but I can't. If I submit to you now, then what difference would there be between me and Huawan? Do not do to others what you do not want to be done to yourself. This is the reason why I rejected you. Moreover, Xiang Xiang, are you willing to live like this? You must understand that dignity is worth fighting for with one's life." Xiang Xiang raised her long snow-white neck and faintly looked at Lin Muyu. She was speechless. After a long while, she repeatedly murmured, "Do not do to others what you do not want to be done to yourself. Do not do to others what you do not want to be done to yourself." Approximately 2 minutes later, Xiang Xiang smiled and stood up to gently bow to Lin Muyu. She said, "Young master, you can sleep on the bed. How about Xiang Xiang sleep on this bench? If someone asks tomorrow, please put in a good word for Xiang Xiang. Just say that I successfully slept with young master last night. Is that okay?" Lin Muyu nodded and smiled, "It's nothing, but I'll sleep on the bench. My body is quite hard and can't sleep on a soft bed." "Thank you, young master." Xiang Xiang felt a little warm and returned to the bed. However, her heart was like a stormy sea. No matter what, she couldn't fall asleep. Turning around, she found that Lin Muyu had already fallen asleep on the bench. Her breathing was even. Although she was sleeping, there was a faint aura lingering beside her. What kind of man was this? Xiang Xiang asked again and again in her heart, but there was no answer. After the age of 16, all kinds of humiliation had made her heart as hard as stone. However, this man's words seemed to be able to soften the depths of her heart. Do not do to others what you do not want to be done to yourself. What kind of person would say such deep and open-minded words? The next morning, after waking up early, Lin Muyu was still practicing the demonic noise fist and the lightning strike in the courtyard. He had a steel sword in his hand, but his swordsmanship was very poor. He only knew one swordsmanship, and that was the lightning strike. This was clearly not enough. The swordsmanship when fighting was simply too important. He had to learn one. "You." Chuya walked out of the room and said with a smile, "You're already awake." "Yes." Lin Muyu returned the demonic noise blade to his waist and said with a smile, "Sister Chuyao, how did you sleep last night?" "Pretty good." That's good." At this moment, Xiang Xiang suddenly put on her clothes and walked out of Lin Muyu's room. She said with a smile, "Young master, why did you wake up so early?" Chu Yao was instantly petrified. She said in astonishment, Who are you?" Xiang Xiang stuck out her chest and said with an incomparably proud smile, "The person who serves young master when he sleeps." Chu Yao bit her red lips and the light in her eyes turned into anger. Lin Muyu hurriedly said, "Sister Chu Yao, don't misunderstand. I'm not that kind of person. I didn't even touch her." "Xiang Xiang, I promise to keep your secret. Don't harm me." Xiang Xiang laughed, "All right, young master." This servant will leave first. I'll come again tonight. Then goodbye, young master. Xiang Xiang turned around and looked at Chu Yao. She said with a provocative smile, young master's skills in bed are very good. You should find an opportunity to try it. Don't waste such a good man. It's over, Lin Muyu couldn't explain himself. After explaining for half an hour, he finally made Chu Yao believe that he had nothing to do with this woman. Not long after, a servant brought breakfast and a heavy bag of money. It was 300 Jinin coins. This was the money that Hua Wan lost to Lin Muyu in the martial arts competition. He didn't expect this young city lord to be so trustworthy. They didn't plan to work in the medicine refining workshop in the morning because the daily work was too simple and easy to complete. Therefore, Lin Muyu carried the heavy bag of money and brought Chu Yao to the market. The market was bustling with people. Chu Yao was in a good mood. She was as happy as a young girl on a trip. She pulled Lin Muyu's hand and walked quickly. She said with a smile, what are we going to buy? Where is the place that sells martial arts techniques? Oh, the bookstore has them. However, they are all cheap goods. If you want to learn superior martial arts techniques, you must go to the auction house and choose some good ones. Then let's go to the auction house. There were a total of 4 auction houses in the city, and the one Chu Yao brought Lin Muyu to was the largest one. It was called the 100 Battle Trading Company. In fact, the items sold in this auction house were mostly related to cultivators, such as weapons, secret manuals, cultivation pills, cultivation medicines, etc. There was everything one could wish for. When Lin Muyu entered, he couldn't help but feel excited. To him, this was heaven. Over there. Chu Yao held his hand. That place sells martial arts techniques. Walking over to take a look, they saw a middle-aged man around 40 years old selling martial arts techniques. He had the face of a rat and one look was enough to tell that he wasn't a proper businessman. He said with a smile, 2 little friends, what do you need? Our shop has all kinds of martial arts techniques, including the 4 laws of wind, fire, thunder, and lightning. Also, the treasure of our shop is a remnant of a fist technique passed down by a sacred realm expert. Do you want to take a look? It's only 5,000 Jin coins. 5,000 Jin coins for a secret manual? Chu Yao's mouth fell open. You might as well rob a bank. The peddler chuckled. Miss, there's something you don't know. A profound martial skills secret manual can allow a cultivator to undergo a heaven-defying transformation. Otherwise, why would so many experts keep their treasures to themselves and not be willing to take out their family's secret manuals? Lin Muyu smiled and asked, Boss, do you have any secret manuals regarding swordsmanship? Yes. The peddler quickly took out 3 books and said, no haggling. 1 basic sword technique, 1 gold kin coin, 1 advanced sword technique, 500 gold kin coins, and the long-lost wind sword technique, 1,200 gold kin coins. Young hero, I can see that you are a talented person and have an extraordinary way of talking, so please don't haggle with me or else you will be lowering your value. Chapter 29. Expensive. It was just too expensive. A family of 4 only needed 10 gold hub coins for a year, but this sword manual was actually priced at 1,200 gold hub coins. Indeed, in this world, it wasn't about whether you wanted to be strong or not. Sometimes, even if you wanted to be strong, you simply couldn't afford a proper manual. Then give me a basic sword technique. Lin Muyu took out a gold hun coin without hesitation. Other than the lightning slash, he had no other attainments in swordsmanship. It was not a bad idea to buy a basic swordsmanship skill book. The basic swordsmanship skill book reminded him of an ancient game called Legend of Mir 2. It seemed that the first skill a warrior learned was basic swordsmanship skill book, which could increase his accuracy. Now that he saw a real basic swordsmanship skill book in his hands, he was filled with emotions. Xu Yao naturally didn't understand what Lin Muyu was sighing about. The vendor was already holding a light green cover manual. He opened it to the first page and said, Wind Riding Sword Technique, a sword technique that uses the laws of the wind to control the initiative in battle. Young hero, do you really not want one? Lin Muyu only glanced at it. The incantation was sword like thunder, sword like lightning, and he almost couldn't control himself. But he didn't have enough money. What, you don't want it? The vendor grinned. Lin Muyu shook his head, I don't have enough money. Oh, so you're a pauper. Then goodbye. His face changed so quickly. Lin Muyu didn't mind and said with a smile, Sister Chu Yao, let's go take a look at the medicine store. I have 2 bottles of medicine to sell. Okay. The 100 Battles Auction House's medicine store was located on the east side. The two arrived a few minutes later. A clerk raised his head and asked with a smile, What do you two need? I want to sell 2 bottles of medicine. Oh. The clerk looked at the emblem on his chest in shock and said, Brat, you're from the Spirit Medicine Division, right? A person from the Spirit Medicine Division actually came to the auction house to sell medicine. Do you still have any dignity as a member of the Spirit Medicine Division? You guys collect the medicine and I sell it. It's only right and proper, Lin Muyu said lightly, do you accept it or not? If you don't, I'll ask your immediate superior. Here, take out your medicine. Lin Muyu reached into the bag on her waist and took out 2 bottles of Dream of Extreme Peaks. She placed them on the counter and said, Let's appraise them. The shop assistant picked up the Peak of Dreams and sniffed it. He was stunned. What kind of medicine is this? Why can't I smell it? Dream of the Peak, Level 7 medicine. What? The shop assistant shuddered as if he had seen a ghost. How is that possible? Isn't Dream of the Zenith long lost? At this time, an old alchemist not far away asked, Little San, why are you so surprised? Master, come and take a look. When the old apothecary sniffed the Peak of Dreams, his expression immediately changed. The olfactory stimulation is really the Peak of Dreams. Heavens, how did this medicine appear on the continent again? As he said this, he looked at Lin Muyu. Young man, did you refine this medicine? Yes, I saw the recipe in a broken manual and concocted it. Wait. The old apothecary gave him a deep look and said, If it really is Peak of Dreams, then your reputation will rise. How about this, follow me to the back hall. I'll go call the manager of the firm. Okay. Xu Yao was a little nervous. Lin Muyu casually led her into the back hall of the auction house. He was very confident in Peak of Dreams. Once this medicine was sold, he would have a large amount of Jin coins to spend. A few minutes later, a man around 40 years old quickly entered the back hall. He wore a very exquisite merchant's attire. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes. With one look, one could tell that he was a very shrewd person. He looked at Lin Muyu and Xu Yao in surprise and said, Hello, 2 little friends. I am the boss of the 100 Battle firm, Lei Baijian. These 2 bottles of Peak of Dreams were refined by you? What's your name? Lin Muyu. Oh. Lei Baijian's eyes were about to shine. He smiled and said, So you're that Lin Muyu who defeated young city Lord Huawan. Huh, what a coincidence. How did you obtain the recipe for Peak of Dreams? Lin Muyu casually made up a story. I found it in a spirit beast nest in the 7 Stars forest. After learning it, it was soaked in the rain on the way back. It's now a pile of fragments. So that's how it is. How shrewd was Lei Baijian. He also knew that Lin Muyu wasn't willing to answer truthfully. He smiled and said, With our 100 Battle firm's wealth and popularity, we can completely raise the price of Peak of Dreams for you. At least 2,000 Jin coins per bottle. However, I have a condition. Young hero Lin needs to come to an agreement with us. If you refine Peak of Dreams again, you need to sell it in our 100 battle firm. How about it? What's in it for me? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Lei Baijian was also straightforward. He took out a pure white jade token from his chest and said, "This is the 100 battle firm's VIP token. With this token, you can buy anything in the 100 battle firm at a 30% discount. Moreover, you can use this token to overdraft from the treasury up to 2,000 Jin coins. How about it?" I, Lei Baijian, don't want to say anything more. I've already shown my sincerity. Lin Muyu faintly smiled. Deal. Good. Lei Baijian was exceptionally happy. I will announce to the public today. Tomorrow morning, at this time, we will publicly auction 2 bottles of Peak of Dreams. 80% of the proceeds will go to Young Hero and 20% to the previous one. How about it? Then you must also promise me one condition. Keep it a secret for me. Don't reveal to the public who these 2 bottles belong to. Good. Business should be like this. Young Hero, don't worry. Leave it to me. Thank you. When he arrived downstairs, he used the VIP token to withdraw 1,000 Jin coins. Afterwards, he went to buy the Imperial Wind Sword Art. At noon, he invited Chu Yao to a nearby restaurant to have a good meal. In the afternoon, he returned to the 100 Spirits medicine store to visit Zhao Xian, Luo Kai, and the others. After leaving behind 10 Jin coins to maintain the medicine store's business, he returned to the Spirit Medicine division to finish his work and returned to his residence early to cultivate. After practicing a few sets of demonic noise fist, Lin Muyu began to practice his sword arts. The basic sword arts were easy to learn. With his comprehension ability, it didn't even take an hour for him to memorize them. The basic sword arts actually taught the user how to attack, defend, dodge, and other simple routines. Afterwards, he began to practice the Imperial Wind Sword Art. The foundation of this sword art was to control the power of the wind attribute, transforming it into sword chi and storing it in the sword. If he was skilled enough, the power of this sword strike could split mountains and break rocks. When it was almost evening, Lin Muyu suddenly felt a surge of energy in his chest. He had to get it out. Lin Muyu clearly knew that he was about to break through. Unknowingly, he had risen from level 27 to level 29 in a few days of cultivation. He was about to step into the first tier of the Earth realm. If it was someone else, they would have been shocked to death. In fact, Lin Muyu also felt a little suspicious. Why was he advancing so quickly? According to Chu Chu, it was because there was a demon sleeping in his body. Since he wanted to advance, he needed a beast spirit of high quality. It was a little unrealistic to go out of the city to find it, but Lin Muyu's bag contained a spirit stone of a 3,000-year-old bloodthirsty tiger. Refining the spirit stone was equivalent to refining the beast spirit, which saved him a lot of trouble. Thus, he told Xu Yao about it and closed his door to cultivate. Taking out the spirit stone and placing it beside the bed, Lin Muyu sat cross-legged on the bed and silently circulated his qi. The green-gourd martial spirit came out of his body, along with the elf female officer, Lulu. Lulu's petite figure flapped her wings and flew around Lin Muyu with a smile. She said with a smile, "Congratulations, brother, you're about to level up." Lin Muyu said, "Lulu, where have you been? I haven't felt you sleeping in my body for the past 2 days." Lulu smiled, "Brother, I'm just a body of soul energy. I've been flying around the continent for the past few days, gathering information. How else could I help you?" Chapter 30. Xiang Xiang's arrival gave Lin Muyu a headache, and she had to stay for dinner today. 2 maids followed behind Xiang Xiang, each holding a tray with a cauldron filled with dishes. These cauldrons were made of silver and were called silver cauldrons. There were 5 cauldrons of dishes, including meat and vegetables, and 2 pots of wine. Chu Yao was secretly speechless. Silver cauldrons were special containers for nobles. Ordinary people mostly used copper cauldrons, while emperors used gold cauldrons. There was a way of eating in the empire called eating with bells and ringing cauldrons. The rich and powerful would play music and eat in the cauldrons. The cauldron was a type of cooking utensil, and in fact, it was very similar to a cauldron. Of course, Chiao had never seen such a scene. Even the 5 cauldrons in front of her were rare. The treatment given to her and Lin Muyu by the city lord's mansion was too high. "Young master, this wine is a fine brew from the city lord's mansion. It is only served to important guests. You mustn't miss it." During the meal, Xiang knelt on the carpet and smiled as she poured wine for Lin Muyu. After toasting him several times, she suddenly asked, "Young master, I heard that you are a new legend in the field of alchemy. At such a young age, you can already refine level 5 and even level 6 medicines. It is said that your alchemy skills came from an ancient book called God of Medicine Canon. Is this true?" Hearing this, Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel a chill in her heart. It's finally here. There's no reason for the city lord's mansion to support me and Chu Yao. After all, Hua Tian and Hua Wan want something from me. What God of Medicine Canon? I don't know. He indifferently said. Although Lin Muyu was arrogant, she also knew how to hide her strength. She also knew that a man's wealth would arouse his wrath. Xiang giggled and said, "Young master must be joking. It is said that the eldest disciple of the 100 Spirits Medicine Store, Wang Ying, once said that the 100 Spirits Medicine Store had obtained a God of Medicine canon. Otherwise, young master and your master Chu Feng wouldn't have advanced so quickly in alchemy." Lin Muyu smiled and said, "Perhaps there is, but I don't know." Xiang nodded and said, "I see." Chu Yao furrowed her brows and said, Xiang, did the young city lord send you to probe us?" "No, what are you talking about, Miss Chu Yao?" Xiang still had a seductive smile on her face. "It's just that there are rumors about young noble Lin Muyu in the streets, so Xiang asked out of curiosity. Since young noble doesn't know what the divine alchemy canon is, then I won't ask anymore. Come, young noble, Xiang offers you another toast." After eating and drinking to her heart's content, Lin Muyu continued to cultivate. While practicing her swordsmanship, demonic sonorous fist, and demonic sonorous saber, she also cultivated the Qi shield. This was a skill unique to the first stage of the Earth realm. The Qi shield could protect her at any time, and it was also a necessary survival skill. Chu Yao did not go to bed early today. Instead, she accompanied Lin Muyu to cultivate in the courtyard. She cultivated the silver needle technique. Do. 3 silver needles silently shot into the wooden board. Chu Yao smiled in satisfaction and walked forward to pull out the silver needles one by one. Lin Muyu watched from the side and said, "This kind of strength can be used to treat people with acupuncture, but it's not enough to kill people. It might not even be able to break the Qi shield of an Earth realm expert." Chu Yao nodded, "Yes, I know." As she spoke, she took out 2 daggers and activated her true Qi. Waves of Qi appeared on the tips of the daggers. She smiled and said, "You, come and spar with senior sister. I know you're very strong now, but senior sister doesn't know how strong you are." "Okay." Lin Muyu stretched out her hand and pulled out the steel sword beside her. She smiled and said, "Sister Chu Yao, you can attack." Chu Yao's lips curled up and she quickly closed in. Her daggers struck twice in a row, attacking from the left and right. The sweeping momentum was awe-inspiring, but Lin Muyu's reaction speed was faster. With 2 clangs, she used her steel sword to parry the attacks. She didn't hold back and pressed forward with a fierce lightning strike. She used about 40% of her strength and didn't use her full strength. How could Chu Yao have thought that Lin Muyu's speed would be this fast? She hastily used her daggers to block the attack. With a loud pang sound, her arms felt numb. She groaned and took a few steps back. Her eyes widened as she said, "Wow, your strength is so strong now. Senior sister can't even block one of your attacks." Lin Muyu's eyes widened. Lin Muyu faintly smiled and said, "Big sis Chu Yao, your physical strength is a bit lacking, and the growth of your purple marten martial spirit is also a bit weak. More importantly, your speed isn't fast enough. Before you even hit your opponent's weak point, you've already revealed an opening. I actually have a way to increase your speed." "Yes, what is it? Teach me quickly." Chu Yao was a little excited. Lin Muyu said, "Comprehend the lightning element in the air and condense it into a weapon to attack at high speed. This will make your attacks much more efficient." "This is..." Chu Yao's eyes lit up. "This is the lightning strike that Flame Chu Chu taught you?" "Oh, no." Lin Muyu shook her head. "The lightning strike is too fast. You won't be able to learn it at your current level, so I won't teach you the silent lightning strike. I will only teach you how to control the lightning element. Moreover, I promised Chu Chu that I won't teach anyone else the martial skills he taught me." "Yes, yes." Chu Yao was a considerate girl. She began to learn how to control the lightning element. Xiang Xiang leaned against the tree and said with a smile, "Fire Cauldron Chu Chu actually taught you so many martial techniques. This is really rare. I heard that Fire Cauldron Chu Chu was very proud all his life. He never taught anyone the essence of martial techniques." Lin Muyu secretly laughed. If she didn't give him high-rank alchemy in exchange, the old man wouldn't have taught her the demon note fist and green rock armor. In fact, Lin Muyu really wanted to use the treasure cauldron to refine Chu Yao's martial soul, but he didn't know the feasibility of this. If it didn't work, it might even harm Chu Yao. Chu Yao's purple marten's growth was too slow. It didn't even have 30% of his green gourd. This was the main reason why Chu Yao was so weak. He could only take it slow. When the time was right, he would naturally help Chu Yao increase her strength. He cultivated until midnight and then went back to his room to sleep. But Xiang Xiang insisted on staying to serve him, so he had no choice but to let her stay. Xiang Xiang slept on the bed while Lin Muyu slept on the bench. After cultivating for a whole day, he fell into a deep sleep. Just as he was sleeping soundly, a violent knock came from the door. "Young hero Lin, Miss Chu, something bad has happened." "What happened?" Lin Muyu got up and ran to the door. When he opened the door, he saw a guard panting, "Quick, go to the front hall of the city lord's mansion. Something bad has happened. Our team heading to the imperial capital was ambushed by wandering mercenaries. Many people died and all the goods were lost. Your 100 spirits medicine shop master, Elder Chu Feng, also died from his injuries. Chu Feng was dead." Lin Muyu's mind went blank. Chu Yao, who was behind him, was pale. She murmured, "How can this be? It must be a lie. Grandpa will be fine. Grandpa will be fine." Torches were flickering in the hall of the city lord's mansion. At least 1,000 soldiers had surrounded the mansion. Hua Tian had mobilized many soldiers. Something had indeed happened. A few of the carriages were stained with blood. Lin Muyu recognized that these were the carriages of the convoy that Chu Feng had traveled with. These carriages were originally loaded with some special products and gifts for the royal family of Lanyan City. But now, they were piled with bloody corpses. The blood on many of the corpses had already coagulated into blood stains. Chu Feng's peaceful face was revealed when the gray cloth was lifted. His chest had been pierced through the heart by a sharp blade. He had been dead for a long time. Looking at Chu Feng's corpse, Chu Yao burst into tears. She lay on top of his corpse and wailed. Chu Feng had raised her since she was a child. Her only relative had passed away just like that. Chu Yao felt as if the entire world was about to collapse. Lin Muyu clenched his fists and stood at the side. He did not comfort Chu Yao. At this time, he should let her suffer. Otherwise, Chu Yao's emotions would completely collapse. Standing up, Lin Muyu looked at the group of soldiers around her. Many of them were injured. City Lord Hua Tian raised his iron blade, his eyes filled with killing intent. He said angrily, Chu Feng is an elder of the Spirit Medicine Division. Why is he separated from us forever? What the hell happened? The general, Ning Daorong, supported himself with his spear. His face was pale, and the armor in front of his chest had been pierced by 2 arrows. Fresh blood flowed out as he suddenly knelt on the ground and said, City Lord, we've already done our best, but we were ambushed by a group of wandering mercenaries when we were passing through the Razor Gorge. There was a battle saint-level expert among them, and I wasn't his match. I was seriously injured and could only watch helplessly as Elder Chu Feng was killed and the goods were stolen. Please punish us, City Lord. You. Hua Tian clenched his teeth and suddenly pulled out his sword and placed it against Ning Daorong's neck. He shouted angrily, General Ning, don't think that I dare not kill you. This is your crime of dereliction of duty. You caused the death of a pillar of the empire. Ning Daorong murmured, City Lord, I have no regrets dying by your sword. I have failed the empire and Silver Fir City. But the injured soldiers all knelt down and begged for mercy. Hua Tian sighed, fine, this is all fate. Ning Daorong, I will deduct 2 years of your rations and demote you by 1 rank. Do you have any objections? This general has no objections. Hua Tian walked over and placed a hand on Lin Muyu's shoulder. His eyes were deep as he said, Child. Silver Fir City is responsible for Elder Chu Feng's death. Don't be too sad. I will do my best to satisfy your and Chu Yao's needs in the future. Don't worry, Silver Fir City and the Spirit Medicine Division will not abandon you. Lin Muyu's eyes were somewhat red as she said, I understand. Thank you, City Lord. He turned around and crouched down to hug Chu Yao's shoulder from behind. Then, he reached out to open the wound on Chu Feng's chest. The wound was shaped like a triangular cone, and it was likely that the strike had come from a special weapon. Sister Chu Yao, don't be too sad. Please bury Grandpa Chu Feng as soon as possible. Chapter 31. That night, Chu Yao stayed by Chu Feng's morning hall, crying non-stop. Wang Ying, Luo Kai, and the other disciples had already prepared the coffin for the burial. Chu Yao's eyes were red and swollen. Lin Muyu's heart ached at the sight, but she didn't know how to comfort her. It seemed that Chu Yao didn't need consolation. When the first ray of sunlight shone into the morning hall, Chu Yao pulled out the dagger at her waist and bit a lock of hair. The dagger flashed, and a strand of hair fell to the ground. Sister Chu Yao, what are you doing? Lin Muyu asked in astonishment. Chu Yao didn't speak. Tears rolled down her face as she looked at Lin Muyu. She didn't stop. She cut off strand after strand of hair until only a short hair was left. She looked at her tearfully and said, Grandpa's gone. I finally know how to be strong. Lin Muyu was stunned. For an entire morning, Chu Feng was buried at the edge of the 7 Stars forest. A living person had passed away just like that. In the afternoon, after sending Chu Yao back to the Spirit Medicine Division, Lin Muyu immediately went to the 100 Battles trading firm to look for Lei Baijian. Lei Baijian didn't know about Chu Feng's death. He was excited when he saw Lin Muyu. He laughed and said, Young hero Lin, you'd never know that 2 bottles of Dream of Extreme Peaks were sold for 4,400 and 4,700 Jin coins respectively. This is such a profit. Come, follow me to the back hall to settle the bill. Boss Lei. Lin Muyu's voice was calm. I want to ask for someone. Oh. Who is it? Who's the most well-informed person in Silver Fir City? This. Lei Baijian pondered for a moment. The most well-informed and quick-witted person, it should be that brat Situ Hao. Oh right, what do you need someone like that for? I'll just find him. Okay. For Lei Baijian, Lin Muyu was a cash cow. Naturally, he would grant her every request. Not long after, a young man around 20 years old appeared in the back hall. It was the C2 Hao that Lei Baijian had mentioned. He had a smile on his face. Young hero Lin, what business do you have with me? Just follow me. All right. After leaving the 100 War Merchant Guild, Lin Muyu turned around and gave him 20 gold yen coins. She asked, you should be very familiar with Ning Daorong, right? General Ning. Situ Hao laughed, of course we are. Other than the city lord, General Ning is the person with the most military power in Silver Fir City. He has 2,000 imperial soldiers under his command. What are Ning Daorong's usual habits? It's just a habit. As a general, it's nothing more than drinking, visiting brothels and so on. By the way, General Ning has a lover in the Spring Pavilion in the western part of the city. Her name is Ruan Ryu, and she is one of the top courtesans in the city. Generally, when there is nothing to do, General Ning will go to Ruan Ryu's boudoir for the night. Where is Ruan Ryu's boudoir? On the top floor of the Spring Pavilion. There is only one room, and that is Ruan Ryu's boudoir. Lin Muyu patted his shoulder and said, Situ Hao, thank you. Here is the other 30 gold yen coins. Perhaps I will continue to ask you to work for me. Don't worry, as long as you follow me, I won't let you suffer any losses. Situ Hao's eyes lit up at the sight of money and nodded repeatedly, yes, yes, yes. Don't worry, young hero Lin. Don't worry about me. Alright, then find a few experts to protect Chu Yao of the Spirit Medicine Division. Is that alright? Mercenaries are fine. I can find 2 who are at the first level of Earth Realm above level 30. The commission will be 20 gold yen coins per day. Is that alright? Sure. Find a few more and have them guard the courtyard from afar. They just need to make sure no one hurts Chu Yao. Yes. It was late at night in the Spring Pavilion. The lights gradually dimmed, and the sounds of sex could be heard from the rooms. While they were enjoying themselves, a figure flew past the attic and landed lightly on the top floor of the Spring Pavilion like a falling leaf. Lin Muyu hugged his steel sword and closed his eyes. He could vaguely hear Ruan Ryu's moans and Ning Daorong's heavy panting in the room. How could a person who had just been injured by an arrow have the energy to stay here for even a moment? In an instant, Lin Muyu's thoughts were confirmed once again. He leaped up lightly, climbed through the window, and silently landed on the floor. His footsteps were very light. This was the mystery of falling star steps. He looked into the distance and saw 4 soldiers standing guard outside the door. The starlight shone on their figures outside the window, and Ning Daorong was lying on the woman's body, enjoying himself to the fullest. Ruan Ryu panted and moaned in pleasure. By the side, Ning Daorong's 3-edged spear was there. As a martial artist, his weapon never left his side. Lin Muyu walked over slowly and drew his sword. The sound of the steel sword rubbing against the scabbard was very soft, but Ning Daorong still heard it. He quickly turned around and growled, "Who is it?" "It's me," Lin Muyu said faintly. Amidst Ruan Ryu's screams, Lin Muyu leaped up and slashed out with her sword. The speed of the falling star steps and thunderclap slash was simply too fast. Ning Daorong didn't even have time to circulate his energy to defend before he was struck. His right arm was severed from the middle and fresh blood splattered everywhere. His white bones were clearly visible, but he was still a man. He only growled, "Lin Muyu, are you crazy? Why did you sneak attack this general?" Lin Muyu said indifferently, "My master Chu Feng was pierced through the heart by this spear of yours, wasn't he? Unfortunately, you didn't destroy the wound. Instead, you disguised a few arrows in front of your chest." Who would have thought that the other corpses had dried up for almost a day, but your arrows were still there? Speaking of which, you're really an arrogant idiot. Moreover, look down at your chest. Where did the wound come from? Bastard, you killed my grandpa Chu Feng. Do you think you can get away with this? Today, I'll make you pay with your blood. Ning Daorong roared, "This general is the general of Silver Fir City. You dare kill me? Men, kill this assassin for me." Outside the room, several personal guards rammed open the door. But Lin Muyu was even faster. She opened her left hand and unleashed her green gourd martial soul. Gourd vines pierced through the floor and wrapped around the 4 guards. At the same time, her demonic noise saber whistled through the air and pierced through the gourd vines. The 4 guards were all killed without exception. Ning Darong turned pale with fright. These guards were all at the 2nd level of the human realm, but this brat had killed them all in an instant. Just how terrifying was his cultivation? But Ning Darong was, after all, a level 44 battle sovereign. He stood up and grabbed the spear with his bare left hand. With a roar, his martial spirit emerged from his body in the form of a fierce tiger. It looked quite fierce. Flames ignited on the spear as he launched an all-out attack with a low roar. The spear swallowed over like a fiery serpent. Lin Muyu appeared even calmer. With a single thought, the green gourd spirit condensed in front of her chest. Immediately after, a layer of fiery red-black tortoise shell appeared as a defense. With a bang, she forced Ning Darong back. Although she felt intense pain from the recoil, Lin Muyu had already sensed that Ning Darong's strength had decreased sharply after losing an arm. He was no longer her match. She suddenly activated the fallen star steps and appeared on Ning Darong's left side. She raised her sword with both hands and the wind and lightning fluctuated. Another lightning strike slashed through Ning Darong's condensed chi shield. The blade landed on his left arm and even cut off a large piece of flesh, causing him to howl in pain. Lin Muyu let out a low roar and punched out with her left fist. She had used all her strength. Bang! The demonic sound fist struck through the air. Ning Darong let out a muffled groan as his internal organs were all shattered. He died on the spot. Ruan Ryu looked at Ning Darong's corpse and shook her head repeatedly. She said to Lin Muyu, "Don't kill me, don't kill me. I don't know anything." "You can't kill me," Lin Muyu frowned and said, "If I don't kill you, you will definitely betray me. Come, drink this." "What is it?" Without waiting for Ruan Ryu to say anything, Lin Muyu directly forced her to drink a bottle of Dream Return to Extreme Peak. This would make her sleep for at least 3 days. It could be considered sparing her life. She grabbed Ning Darong's 3-pointed spear and leapt off the roof of the spring pavilion, heading straight for the city lord's mansion. When she entered the mansion at daybreak, there were indeed a few mercenaries guarding the door. It seemed that the Jinin coins were quite useful. Lin Muyu hurriedly rushed into the courtyard and pushed open the door to Chu Yao's room. She found that her eyes were red and she still hadn't slept. Her mind was already extremely weak. She said softly, why are you, let's go." Lin Muyu grabbed her hand and led her out the door. "Where are we going?" "100 Spirits Medicine Hall." "What for?" "Call the brothers out of the city. This place is no longer suitable for them to live in." "Why?" "Grandfather was killed by Ning Darong." "What?" Chu Yao was instantly shocked. How is that possible? Ning Darong is the city's general, why would he kill grandfather? Why would he do that?" Lin Muyu said calmly, "Because the city lord, Hua Tian, wanted the God of Medicine Codex, so he killed grandfather. Ning Darong was seriously injured last night, but there was no wound on his chest. Grandfather's fatal wound was in the shape of a 3-pointed spear. It was this spear in my hand that killed grandfather, and this 3-pointed spear was Ning Darong's weapon." Chu Yao was also a smart girl, she instantly understood everything. She clenched her teeth and said, "I want to kill Ning Darong. I've already killed him, let's go." When they arrived at the 100 Spirits Medicine Hall, they found that it was in chaos. The place was on fire. Lin Muyu rushed into the sea of fire with the green gourd martial spirit, only to find that the ground was covered with corpses. Wang Ying, Zhao Xian, Luo Kai, and the others were all lying in a pool of blood. This place had been bathed in blood. Feeling a sharp pain in her heart, Lin Muyu suddenly punched the wall, blaming herself. Why didn't she think that Hua Tian would attack the 100 Spirits Medicine Hall? The reason why he asked Xiangxiang to find out where the God of Medicine Codex was meant that they couldn't find the God of Medicine Codex on Chu Feng, so they would definitely look for it in the 100 Spirits Medicine Hall. Eldest brother Wang Ying, junior brother Luo Kai, looking at the corpses on the ground, Chuyao tears rolled down her cheeks again. However, at this moment, the sound of hooves came from outside, and someone was shouting, "Lin Muyu killed General Ning. She is now a fugitive of the Empire, don't let her get lost. Lin Muyu and Chuyao, don't let any of them go." You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.